Alright, well, we're back again live. And I fixed all the fucking problems with the audio. This is great.
Woohoo!
I hate Mixer sometimes. Well, not Mixer, I hate Slob sometimes. I don't know what the fuck. Every day there's a new problem with the computer. Yesterday it wouldn't record my audio. Today it's not. Today it it moved everything around for some reason, which it never does. And then today's just like, for some reason, let's move everything around because why the fuck not? The computer's user doesn't know what the hell they want with their computer, when I clearly do. And now Borderlands isn't going into full screen. What the fuck is up with tonight?
It's just a cursed night.
It is Cinco de Mayo. It's punishing me for not eating Mexican food tonight.
I actually had Mexican food yesterday.
Lucky you. You're not cursed. I get the curse because the place we tried to eat at today, we'd have to wait and we'd have to go inside and order because they stopped answering their phones for whatever reason.
That's weird.
Yeah, no, they're like, yeah, no, fuck you. You gotta come into the store. Ow. And yeah, now Borderlands isn't going. I have to go in the freaking game menu and fix this now. No, on my end it's not full screen. In your end it is.
Whatever.
Options. Video. Game options. Why the hell is aim assist on? No. Video. There we go.
Alright.
Yes. Alright, let us go back in here. Marek, why am I at the Barred Adlands?
The Arid Badlands.
The Barred Adlands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alright. Let's just get over to the fucking Dahl Headland. Oh yeah, right. No, I know why I didn't spawn me in the Dahl Headland, because we don't have the stupid echo thing up yet. This game is fun, but like the beginning, like this is the biggest problems with Borderlands 1 and 2. The beginnings are just boring beyond belief.
Oh yeah, no. Like I like Borderlands, but I'm not like too crazy for it.
Like
to be honest,
I've never played a game that requires so much, like, oh, you got to do this, then this, then this in order to do this simple thing. Like, it's one of those. It's trying to be an MMO and it's not. And I like Borderlands. I like Borderlands, and I don't like try to think about the good part. I don't try to think about the bad parts, right, like that, because the good parts do outweigh the bad, as a lot of good games do. My problem is that, like, trying to stream this game solo can be a pain.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because, like, when I'm alone, there's a lot of downtime, which could just be me silently running through an area and gunning shit down. And then the other downtime thing is whatchamacallit. The other big downtime thing is related to just in general, like, what you do. Because, like, all the quests are styled pretty much MMO style, where you just gotta go, do thing, come back. And it could be, it could be easy or hard to do the quests and shit. It really depends on how you look at how you look at it, really. But because of the structure, I'm probably not even gonna do Underdome. Solo. You know, Underdome Riot is hell solo.
Now I have a question for you concerning Borderlands and shit.
What's your question?
I know that you consider this like your favorite in this series and whatnot.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on like the other games, like, you know, Borderlands 2 pre-sequel and maybe Tales of Borderland if you played that?
Pre-sequel. All right. So I'll go in chronological order. So, Borderlands 1 favorite. 2 pre-sequel.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
The game is garbage. I like. All right. All my problems with pre-sequel are as follows. The DLC characters are crap, right? If you're playing solo, and I'll talk about the DLC because they don't make any sense too. Like, why is there a handsome Jack? You know, why is there a handsome Jack body double in the pre-sequel when he's not even handsome Jack yet? Number one. Number two, they invented Hammerlock's sister just to be a character, for like just to be a DLC character. You know, if they like,
oh, okay.
I would have preferred, you know, I would have preferred two characters that, you know, were in the game. Maybe that would have been cool. How about Steve? You know what would have been great? Imagine playing as Steve. Remember Steve, right? Hey-oh.
Oh.
Hey-oh. Imagine playing as Steve. That would be great. That would have been fucking cool or something like that. Not even that. Like, or better yet, if you really want, how about playing as Hammerlock? Or, you know, he's a guy who knows how to use a gun. You could probably come up with something interesting for him to do as a character. Why do we need why do we need a non-existent until she was made to be a DLC character's sister? I don't like it. And then, and because they added her in pre-sequel, she had to be in Borderlands 3. They just kind of had to, like, rope her in there for continuation's sake.
Continuity and shit like that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, I don't... Because here's the thing, right? Hammerlock never mentions her in 2 or anything like that. And then all of the shit that happens in... Like, everything needs an... Like, and one of the major problems with pre-sequel is that everything needs an explanation, like, of why Borderlands 2 happened. So it's like, oh, well, we don't, like... Here, like, I'll talk about a little more what I thought Borderlands 2... what I think Borderlands 2 should have been when I talk about that in a second. But I don't like the explanations they give, like, oh, why are there, what the hell are those things called? Threshers on Pandora. Oh, you sent one down from the moon in pre-sequel. And I'm like, okay, but why, you know, I know we did that for Hammerlock, but why, though? Like, you know, why can't it just be a creature why can't it be a new creature that's on another part of the planet? Like all the other, like, monsters that we meet in the DLCs, like the sandworms and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And the bullymongs. It's like, you know, does this really need an explanation, or did you just want to give an explanation for the sake of having an explanation for new enemies? It's kind of like when a prequel game adds new enemies, and they always give the same explanation as to why they're, like, never seen later on in the series. Like, it kind of first started with Halo, where, oh, they added the, what were those guys called? Not the Marauders, but what the hell were those that one type of jackal? Oh shit, I can't remember the ones in Reach. What the hell were they called?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you know, the guys, the bigger jackals with, like, the bird frills and heads and shit like that, and they ran around. Yeah, and they ran around in groups and they shot at you with sniper rifles and shit like that. They were called the skirmishers. That was the first instance I've ever seen of that, and literally the explanation as to why you don't see them later. Oh, they either all died out in, like, the beginning of the war, or, like, they're just not there anymore, right? Then the second time I saw this happen was in Gears of War, that one Gears of War prequel game. Oh yeah, these new enemies, you want to know why they're not in any of the previous games? Well, that's because they died out in this game because they ran, you know, they were, like, pretty much suicide soldiers and everything like that. I'm like, okay. It's like, you know, it's like the same explanation over and over again, and I don't really like it because it doesn't feel... It feels manufactured, if that's the best way to put it. Alright. And then the other things I don't like about Borderlands 2, if you're playing solo, just play as Claptrap. Like, straight up, he's broken. When you give him that one oxygen tank, because he never uses oxygen, right? And there's one oxygen tank that the more oxygen you have, the more damage you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legendary one, and it's very easy to get it. Literally, all you do, like, it's very easy to get it, and pretty much just use that and Claptrap, and you win. You never have to worry about anything else. And then, and there's one legendary guaranteed drop from a boss that, combined with that, is just killer. And I used it to beat the final boss quickly. Also, the side quests in that game are very boring and kind of lead to nowhere. Borderlands 2. I like it, but I don't like the guns.
Yeah, that's one of my complaints. It's like the gunplay is just like the guns either feel like underpowered.
No, I play with a mod. I play with a mod called BL2 Reborn that a former friend of ours showed me. And it fixed a lot of my issues that I have with Borderlands 2. Which kind of makes me feel bad for when I want to stream it, because I've had some people want to play it. And I had to unfortunately decline them because I play with the mod, because it's much more enjoyable for me to play with that mod.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I want to do the stream. I want to do a stream of it, but I want to have fun while doing it and not just trying to like power through it because it's like, you know, I'm streaming the game. I want to have fun while streaming, so I want to do like I want the mod on because it fixes my biggest issue with Borderlands 2. So, other than that, other than the and the loot drops and the pre-update loot drops and shit like that were very bad. But
they were
the guns in that
shitty.
game I really don't like because they're all gimmicks. They're all gimmick weapons, and it's just like, oh god. You know, why can't we just have tactical guns like Borderlands 1, right? It's like, why do we need gimmick weapons? I don't like it. I want to shoot stuff. I want to do cool things. And it also got rid of the elemental multiplier for the elemental weapons. It's just the same output no matter what gun it is. So it feels just like, oh, no matter what weapon you get, it doesn't feel any stronger other than, like, the stats. And this is the thing I don't like, because just seeing a higher stat makes your, you know, the unga bunga part of your brain like go like you know, unga, I like that. It's, you know, it's a high powered weapon. It's like, and personally for me, I just don't care for that sort of thing because I don't just want to do like high powered damage. I want to be able to like use the gun properly. And I do think that some of the descriptions of the guns are really, like, some of the descriptions of the guns, like, on places like the wikis when I was trying to, like, research on what weapons to try to get, are really terrible. I'm just gonna say this. There's a gun called the Maggie, and its description is a shotgun sniper rifle. Right?
Right.
Now, when you hear that shotgun sniper, how good do you think a weapon like that would be? Is my question to you. Just hearing shotgun sniper rifle without using
That'd be something.
Now, does it give you a good idea of what the weapon is, or does it give you a not so good idea on what the weapon is?
Kind of gives me a vague idea on what the weapon is going to be.
So, now what if I told you it really acts nothing like a sniper? It really acts nothing like a shotgun. It mostly acts like a sniper rifle. But when it acts like a shotgun is when it's near the enemy. It shoots out like, you know, regular, but the spread is so small, it's perfect for headshots, like getting multiple headshots. When I first read that, I'm like, a shotgun sniper rifle, why the fuck would I want that? Like, I'm thinking like all of like this crappy, like, I'm not gonna be able to hit anything with the sniping and the shotgun. Like, I'm thinking of Borderlands 1 where you can have a sort of sniperish scope, on a shotgun.
Yeah.
And it sort of works, but not really. Oh yeah, and that's just general too. Shotguns in Borderlands 2 are shit.
Yeah.
And you can't really get into sniper locations in 2.
Yeah, then, yeah, like, especially since I picked, 0 in my first run-through of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and,
He's more of an
yeah.
action-oriented. Alright, and here's the thing, right? The plot of Borderlands 2, I have a love-hate relationship with.
That sounds about right.
Because I think parts of it are good, and I think parts of it are very rushed, and or slow the game down to a crawl. An example being the Firehawk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This also has to do, like, everything related to the Firehawk, including, like, the side quests and shit. Because I think it just bogs down the game. And I know you don't have to do the side quests, but the side quests, you know, help you level up and get loot. And already with the shitty...
yeah, of course.
And already with the shitty loot pool, and the fact that enemies don't drop whatever guns they're holding. Like, the loot system... Like, alright, that's the biggest problem. The biggest issue I take out of Borderlands 2 is the loot system. I think it's very shit. Like, for example, you see... Alright, so in Borderlands 1, sometimes the enemies will drop the guns they're using. And, because here's the thing. They could be using any type of gun, including legendary equipment. So, you know, you kill one that's using a legendary gun, you're gonna be that lucky bastard who got you got a story to tell. You're the lucky bastard who got a legendary weapon off of that one bandit marauder. You know what I mean? Like there's fun stories like that. Like in Borderlands 2, it's just farm the chests, farm or the bosses, and they're shitty. And like I said, they're shitty loot pools, at least pre-updates from what I hear. Because I never really played it post-updates without the mod. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But all I remember is just, like, taking forever to farm bosses because they never drop anything.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's just
also, I think that the DLC stories were a lot better than, like, the fucking main story, in, like, my opinion, to be honest.
In what, 2?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really care for a lot of the DLCs in 2.
Oh, okay.
Assault on Dragon Keep was fun, but it's literally just a retelling of the end of the game with Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
Yeah. But all the side quests are original, somewhat. As original as side quests can be in Borderlands, because a lot of them are just, you know, your general go here, kill thing, go here, do thing, then kill this, and then come back affairs.
Huh.
But I can't knock that too much. Like, that's just quests in general. What mainly gets me is like I like Tiny Tina, and I also liked Captain Scarlet and her Pirate's Booty. Now, I almost liked Mr. Torgue's campaign of Carnage.
What stopped you?
How stupid hard the challenges get. Like, you just doing 2 of them, and you're completely underleveled. Like, I remember like thinking, oh man, this is gonna be cool. I like earning these points. And it's like, I do like 1 or 2 of them. It's like, I'm getting into the flow. It's good to kill stuff to level up and everything like that. And then it's like, nope, you gotta come back when you're level 75, bitch. And I'm like, well, fuck you too, game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I've actually played any of the DLC and shit like that, so.
And then the less I say about frickin' Sir Hammerlock's DLC, the better. It's the most boring, out of nowhere DLC I've ever played. It's
not
like
the one where you're naming the weird monster thing.
no, that's a base game mission.
Oh,
Hammerlock's camp tour or whatever the hell it's called.
I don't think I've played that one.
All right, you go on a safari, right, to this continent on Pandora called Agris, right? And it's not like literally the plot is you go there for fun and leisure, but out of nowhere some rando named Professor Nakayama shows up, and he's like, bruh, you killed Handsome Jack, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh, okay.
And it's from there it's just like, well, you meander until you get to the end, where you kill a air quotes clone of Handsome Jack that's been reconstituted into the body of a bullymong.
Mhm.
And then from there, so after you kill that, you go into the next room, and Professor Nakayama shows up, and he's just some little skinny guy, and with a turret attached to his back. And what happens is he falls down the stairs and dies, and then you just loot the chest room, and it's like, wow, that's it.
Yeah, that
Like
sounds
you get to
kind
loot.
of bad.
You get to loot.
Actually, that sounds pretty bad, to be honest.
Yeah. And once again, with the shitty loot, there's
Mhm.
very little in going and doing that. That's all I have to say about it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not fun. Straight up, I'm not afraid to say it. I did not find playing Borderlands 2 to try to get all the loot fun. It's not. It's a pain in the ass. Like, the beginning is, and alright, so let me talk about the plot, about what I like and what I don't like. I like Handsome Jack. I think he's a great villain.
Oh yeah, he is a pretty good
But
villain and
I
shit.
don't like the build up to him, because he's just an asshole right out the gate. Like what would have been cool is this would have established him as a conniver and shit like that too. What if for the first half of the game you were working for him to try to find the vault he was after, right? That would be interesting. And then after like the first act, you find the vault, he betrays you, and that's when you join up with the Crimson Raiders. It keeps things escalating, you know what I'm saying? It keeps things escalating and gives it a nice flow, rather than like you're betrayed, left for dead, and now you're betrayed, left for dead, and you just gotta like, start from scratch all over again. That's what I didn't like about the intro to Borderlands 2. Is like, all your characters are badasses, right? Doing all like their cool little shit on the train. And then after you get to pick which character you want, the presentation for that already was bad, because in Borderlands 1, when you get to choose your character for the first time, you're on the bus. You're on the bus, and it's like, who's gonna go and be like, the victim of Pandora here, right? And then you got like Marcus explaining everything, but in Borderlands 2 it's just a menu. So how about this, right? How about this? What if the introduction was, maybe like the way they did it with Borderlands, the pre-sequel, where they have a rocket ship going to space or something like that, or they got like some ship going to Pandora, and then inside it shows like the vault, it shows like the Vault Hunters or whatever. And
yeah,
I don't know, like the ship could narrowly dodge like some dangerous thing out in space, and then it goes to like maybe the Hyperion station or whatever, or it touches down on the planet where shit goes bad. And
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
This problem persists with Borderlands 3's intro, but like where your characters are bad, like seem to be badass out the gate, but they're not. But once again, I never played Borderlands 3, so I have no real opinion on it.
So,
But like like I said, imagine if, you know, the intro was like that, and then you got Handsome Jack commenting on the character choices, like, oh, you know, like basically like slightly making fun of them as he's looking at them, like, oh, look at this tough guy or some shit like that, like, you know, make him be like his snide self. That would be funny, and that, you know, that'd be a funny little intro to him, and it wouldn't, you know, it would basically build him up. And then he's like, Vault Hunters, welcome, blah blah blah. You know, I brung you all here to help me find a vault. And then like, and then, you know, he's like, that's how the whole game begins. You start off working with Hyperion, because that's the reason why you're there. Like, why did he just bring you to Pandora to kill you exactly? I don't understand that little part. That was like a bit awkward, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, and honestly, if you really want to talk about pre-sequel with this, it would be a good continuation. It would be a good continuation of the pre-sequel's beginning, where Jack did hire the hunters there too, to check out like the station and everything like that. Like, like I said, it just feels like a plot. Like, my problem with Borderlands 2, it's this with the story. There's a lot of highs and a lot of lows. But when it gets to the lows are really low. Like when you get to the Iridium Blight, there should be a lot more impact, but it's just like, oh, it's just Firestone and the Dahl Headland and everything like that. Just corrupted by Iridium. It's like, wow, cool. Like the two beginning areas of Borderlands 1 that I do have fond memories of them, but not to this level of where, they got like they essentially got like oil pipelines going through them. Man, I don't feel this bad that they're being used as a dumping ground for like toxic waste practically. Like, I don't know if like it didn't affect me. I don't know if it's a problem with me or if it's a problem with the game, but it doesn't work. Especially considering, like, I talk about it like this, right? Like, all the interesting stuff already happened. You're just there to clean up the messes. It's why I'm not a big fan of Fallout New Vegas. All of the interesting shit happened already. You, the core, are kind of there to clean up all the messes that happened. This, like, the same sentiment is what I have the same sentiment with Borderlands 2. Like, all the cool shit, like Helena Pierce dying. Imagine if you had to do that sort of thing. Like, you had to be the enforcers of that sort of shit. That would be fucked up. And, you know, it would give you some, like, thing, like, oh, these characters that you helped out in the first game, you now have to kill in the second game. And maybe keep, like, Roland hidden. And, you know, like, they try, like, you have a quest where you have to try to assassinate the Crimson Raider leader. And you don't know it's Roland, like, he's wearing the helmet and shit like that. Until...
Right.
And then that could be played up like a whole big thing. Is this one of the unfortunate things about, like, Borderlands 2? They try to play Roland up as, like, this very important figure, but he's kind of milquetoast.
How so?
Like, he's literally just he's literally just like the good soldier archetype. Like, there's nothing interesting about him. Like, oh, what does Roland do? He leads the obvious good guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Also, how are you doing, Peyton?
Oh shit, Peyton's in here too. Whoa. The gang's together. The gang is slowly piecing itself together. But, whatchamacallit? Oh, wait, no, he was in the AFK chat, ain't he?
He was, and then just showed up in here, and then he left.
Probably didn't mean to pop in or something. Oh, what the fuck? It's health regenerated.
Oh. Oh, shit. Is that a glitch?
I think so, or I wasted enough time and it regen. There's a problem, like, the best way to damage this thing is when it does its, breath attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying not to waste too much ammo. But it's not doing its breath attack or opening its damn mouth, it's just kind of doing that. Oh yeah, and that was something cool that kind of took a backseat in Borderlands 2. The wildlife of Pandora. It was replaced with a lot of machines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I love myself a good robot army, but, you know, like, it gets kind of dull to fight machines a lot. Especially near the end of the game, where they're just kind of replaced as the default enemies everywhere. And you're fighting bully monks for most of the game. Like, where did all the scythids go? You know what I mean? Like, where's the scythids? Where's some of the other enemies from 1 that weren't in 2?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something I care about. Like, they removed enemies for some reason. Like, where'd the crab worms go? I know they were sort of on their way out as a species, but, like... Alright, come on. Open your mouth. Open your mouth and say, for the dentist.
Say,
We need to do your test. You can sort of get a critical hit on it. There. Come on. Open up the tunnel. Here comes the train. Choo choo.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I have? Can't deny the usefulness of this thing neither. I got no bullets. Oh yeah, and then Borderlands 3 was, like, I really have no, like I said, no opinion on it itself as a game, but it suffered from marketing that was trying to be hip, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, Randy Pitchford was really trying to be, how do you do, fella? Like, there was a lot of controversies around it. It's not, you know, it's nothing that wouldn't make me want to buy the game. It's just that it's like, I'm not starved for Borderlands content, and I'd rather have a game that's more Borderlands 1 than Borderlands 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And from what I heard, I spoiled the story for myself. From what I heard from the story, it kind of goes nowhere. Like we get a lot more lore on sirens. Like all of a sudden, sirens are extremely important. And then I don't know. From there, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Sirens are extremely important now, but I don't know, like, what my thoughts on that are, because I just kind of thought sirens were people with, like, weird power. Like, you know, when we had Borderlands 1, we only thought it was Lilith and maybe Comet and Steel. Then 2 added the detail that there can only be 6 in the universe at a given time, or something like that. Alright, there we go. End me. End me, Skagzilla. And then 3 did a ton of weird stuff with the sirens.
Uh-huh.
Like, they can transfer their powers or something, like certain people. I don't know how that works, or other things like that. And then they kill off a fan favorite from Borderlands 2 to replace her with, like, this little loudmouth character that's annoying.
Are you talking about whatchamacallit?
Ava,
Yeah.
guilty as charged. Once again, I haven't played the game. I don't know how annoying the character is. I'm only going off of what I've seen. And remember, those types of lists can be very biased in one thing's favor or not. But I don't know if that, like I said, I know that a lot of those could be biased in one way's favor. So I take everything like that with a grain of salt. But I have no clue how annoying or unannoying Ava is as a character other than what people say.
Right. Anyway.
Come to Brazil. No, but so we were playing fucking VR chat earlier.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Because we're a bunch of chuckle nuts like that. We want to go. We want to be at the Chocolate Chuckle Hut, where all sorts of crazy shit happens.
Yep.
Also, that's not a real map, by the way, guys. Please don't try to look for a Chocolate Chuckle Hut. It's not real.
Or if anybody who does like custom stuff on VR chat, do make that an actual like world and shit.
Yes, from Chowder. Do come back for some juice. Randy Pitchford.
Randy Pitchford.
Also,
that's all I'm going to say.
Like that's all I gotta say about Borderlands 3's leak marketing. Randy Pitchford. Randy Pitchford did stuff, a lot of bad things, and kind of got away with it, almost. Well, in company eyes, he got away with it. In consumer eyes, he didn't get away with it, because it's documented and sort of well known. That's kind of all that really matters, is that, like, you know, the consumers give a shit and know about what he did.
Yep, what he done do.
Medieval Times, anybody?
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, that doesn't mean that, and once again, me being critical, I don't completely dislike Borderlands 2. Like I said, a mod BL2 Reborn really helped me learn to enjoy the game much more than I did. And playing it sort of vanilla on PS4, a lot of my issues were fixed already with Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Like the spawn rates for items and shit like that are much better. So I don't feel like I'm spending like 5 hours trying to grind a boss fight, trying to get a legendary. Like it usually takes like 1 to 2 farms. And that's just one problem in general I don't like about 2. The fact that you still have to farm for equipment. When Borderlands 1, right, the drop rate was so good, if you got the right dice roll, even a chest in Firestone could drop, even one of the red chests in Firestone could drop a legendary weapon for you.
Uh-huh.
That's how good the dice rolls were. The chest didn't, like, the chest, you know, it was pure, it was like luck. Luck of the draw. Like, in Borderlands 2, all I know is that, like, the, decreased spawn, like, there's a, like, oh, you don't get, the chance to get legendary weapons and shit in the chest is way lower. Like, I could show off my hunter, because he's got all of, like, this legendary equipment. There he goes. Critical hit. And then oh yeah, another thing, Borderlands 2 added my favorite classes. They fixed the Siren with Maya. And they added the Necromancer, which I play a lot, and Necromancer's OFP.
Oh, yeah.
Ouch. Come on. Almost dead.
You're gonna die tonight.
Hey, we did it.
Woohoo.
Oh, look at that. A purple rarity. Ooh!
Oh.
Torg. With a flame effect.
Nice.
Oh. Oh, that's nice.
That's really nice.
And I like the design too. A fully auto. It's got the BR design, but it's fully auto.
Mm-hmm.
I love tactical looking guns like this. And that was one of the that was another deviation I didn't like. To go along with the random fucking weapon designs of Borderlands 2. To go along with like the gimmick weapons, every design was like crap and trite.
Uh-huh.
I just want to play a gun with. I just want to have a gun with consistency. Wait, let's try our new toy. Oh yeah. This is very situational though. I gotta be careful how I use it. But Borderlands 1, it really doesn't matter like how you use flame weapon. If this was Borderlands 2, you really have to be more careful with how you use like your guns and shit.
Oh, okay.
You dropped the blue.
Alright, Marek, I watched your latest game and chat video about, you know, Majora's Mask and whatnot.
And?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, like, something like that, it's a real, that is a speak, that video was like a speak from my heart thing, because that, my experiences with that game were fucking nutso. and a lot of the like they were all kind of like they were all true, but some like some were like like you know, a little bit of an exaggeration because not everything goes exactly. You remember stuff more fantastical than you do when you know you're younger like that. But
Yeah, that's true.
you know, me calling the game like Ocarina of Time boring, that actually happened. Like I see a guy on a horse and I'm like, wow, boring. It's like I just see and like green's my favorite color, but you see this sort of red haze of the Majora's Mask logo with that, and I'm just like, ooh. And that was how I played the game and how I fell in love with it. I just wanted to know how to complete it. It's just that good.
Yeah. I'd say that was the same thing with me and Wind Waker. When I was younger and shit, you know what I'm saying? Where... Okay, I guess this is my story time thing as well.
Go for it.
So... I... got Wind Waker as an Easter gift.
In New York, Easter presents are more than just candy.
Nah, it was just that one Easter. Every other subsequent one in my basket was just like, you know,
you get candy and
chocolate rabbits
like a
and
phone,
the peeps.
or a phone gun.
Okay, that I don't remember.
I gotta look. I remember they used to sell like all those like weird gimmick baskets. They sold like a foam. They sold like a foam little missile launcher, and I got one once, and I shot it at my cousin and it hit her in the eye.
Oof.
She was my older cousin too.
Man.
No, but it was kind of funny, but it was, you know, she wasn't hurt, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
I just never got that stupid little toy gun back. Sorry, Zig. Sorry, Zig.
So anyway, as I was saying, where was I?
You got it as an Easter gift.
Yeah, I got it as an Easter gift. Played it immediately and everything like that. So, I got up to the part where Tetra, you know, where that fucking bird has Tetra in like its grasp and shit. You know, it's about to fly away and whatnot, and it gets like, hey Johnny, how you doing?
And it gets like what?
And it gets like knocked down by the pirates and whatnot, and she's in the Forbidden Woods or whatever it's called.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. I was up to that part where, after that, where you're in the cutscene where, you know...
You're going to Forsaken Fortress, or,
No, not the Forsaken Fortress. This was like the woods...
After you save
save Tetra and whatnot. By the way, all my cousins are here and everything like that because, you know...
It's Easter.
Easter dinner and shit. We get up to the part where the bird is about to scoop up Errol. Ariel, whatever you pronounce her name.
Link's sister.
Link's sister. My youngest cousin at the time accidentally opens up the GameCube's
Oh no, he does
the
what
tray.
I think he does.
this tray and whatnot.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
So you can just
boy.
hear like all like a collection of, oh come on!
Oh my god.
But he was just a babby back then, you know what I'm saying?
He was a little baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
And then, you know, I had to start all over again because I didn't save
Ah, well,
when I
there's
was
your
a
first-
kid.
Ah, there's your first mistake.
Yeah. Because I was so used to, you know, just having the prompt show up and
The
just being like, oh,
autosave.
would you like to save after you? Yeah, that too.
And all
So-
whoa, what the fuck? Jesus, flipping right.
So like, Zig, is Wind Waker your Majora's Mask?
In a sense, yes. Or, you know, it was just like one of those games where I just kept going back to, just so, you know, I can be like, oh, how do I get past this? Or how do I do this? And how do I do that? You know what I'm saying?
Did you beat it?
And finding out. Yes, I did beat it. After oh so long. Let's see, 2003. I would say maybe 8 or 9 years it took.
Really?
Yeah,
Same journey, pretty much. Just slightly less years.
pretty much.
Indeed.
Like I didn't 100% complete it, but you know,
Oh yeah, no.
I
Like
did beat the game.
going out of your way to try to, like, especially without like the updates that some of the remakes like give you, or remasters, whatever you want to call them.
Mhm.
It's difficult.
Yeah. Sorry.
Fucking scythids. Like,
Oh yeah, by the way, the fucking moblins in the Forsaken Fortress, the first time you're there, when you
scared the
they
shit out of you.
scared the shit out of me.
With their fucking
I
ungodly
remember
wide
doing
smiles.
the demo. Talk about Wind Waker. I remember playing the demo, and I thought it was like the full game. And like, you know, you get like, I thought you got like 5, but no, it's just the demo. And I'm like, this is a weird Zelda game. You get to choose where you go. And like your choices were the first dungeon, and you didn't have that much to play neither, which was stupid. And all I remember doing was throwing like barrels of water at like the choo-choos in the like the fire dungeon.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I remember going to that one part. I remember going to the Forsaken Fortress, thinking like, oh, you know, what's this one? And I got stuck, and I figured out how to do the part, but it would always end because it's just a demo. Like Wind Waker's a game I want to play and beat. Like, I'm not a blind asshole. Like, I played it, but I haven't beaten it yet. And I'm not one of those. I'm not like an asshole who's like, oh, the game sucks because of the graphics. I love the.
Oh yeah, no, that was fucking stupid even back then.
I love the art style.
like-
No,
You got like there's nothing wrong with that art style. Like
people. The only reason why people got pissed about it was because they saw at Spaceland this tech demo of like, oh, we got this realistic looking Link fighting realistic Ganon, and like that's what we wanted, and that's how Twilight Princess was kind of made from that.
I mean,
Again, I got nothing wrong with I have nothing wrong with like Twilight Princess and everything like that.
It's my second
Neither
favorite
do I.
Zelda game.
but what I'm not a huge fan of is that kind of mindset where people are just like, because the game's got a cartoony like art style, that automatically makes it a bad game.
It's for
where
kids.
I'm like, no. The story can have a cartoonish art style, yet have a really fucked up story that will make you sob your eyes out for
It's
about
not
2 hours.
like it's not like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask had a very realistic art style too.
Yeah.
Yeah, even then.
Like Zelda Zelda as Zelda. Again,
Gauntlet is under attack by the evil forces of Ganon.
I'm going to Gamelon to aid him. If I don't return
But
within a
father,
month,
what if something? But father, what if something happens to you?
I can't think. Every time I always think of that Zelda. Do Gauntlet.
I'm going to Gamelon to aid him. But father, what if something happens to you?
All right. Look, I like doing secret. I like doing secret numbers in like my top lists. Honestly, secret favorite Zelda games like 6 and 7. Well, no, just in general, because Wanda Gamelon and Face of Evil are pretty much the same game, so they go on the same
Pretty
line.
much. They
go on the same line. Yeah, like they're like secret favorite Zelda game number 6. Those two, just on one line. They're that stupid. I love them so much.
It's such a dumb little fucking like.
Again, it doesn't help that like the YouTube poops like.
They fleshed out the characters a lot more. Like
Yes.
Morshu is secretly a domestic terrorist who also became like who's also a treasure hunter, and he became the king of YouTube poop for a while before he got killed.
And then we have
The war. Wait, there was this old talking about YouTube. There was this old YouTube poop, the War of YouTube Poop or something like that. You ever watch that?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
It was a really shitty one, but it's funny as hell.
I remember like Wars Guy's last YouTube poop before he like came out of retirement for like that one time. I still remember the name of it. One more final. I need you. And in parentheses it said to poop. So okay, no, this was like this blew my mind when I was a fucking kid. Because it was just like, you know, what happens? King Harkinian is dead. Like, I forget how he fucking dies and shit.
And
Zelda kills herself with like fucking sleeping pills.
wow.
Link tries to commit suicide.
Well, this is a dark YouTube poop.
This is.
Oh
very
yeah, no,
fucking
this
dark.
was like yeah, this was pretty fucking dark.
Like, damn.
But yeah, anyway, like he tries to jump and shit, but like Yoshi
What?
breaks his fall.
What?
So Yoshi's like on his dying deathbed and shit like that. And he tells Mama Luigi to tell him a dead time story. Oh no, I'm going through this whole shit right now.
Oh no.
So anyway, Mama Luigi is telling him the story, and it just starts off with like fucking SpongeBob, you know, doing like the fun song, but instead of the fun song, he's being like, "Let me spell it out for you," and he goes like F-U-C-K, and then fucking Robotnik comes out and he's just like, "Well, that was the video, boys. What do you think of it?" And Scratch is just like, "I laughed, I cried, I went poo-poo!" And then fucking
Scratch.
Robotnik is like, "Well, I do have one small pingus." And then Yoshi's like, "Robotnik said penis." And Luigi is just like, "Well, I didn't think it was that funny."
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then what else? And then I have like flashbacks to like a young Robotnik being like, "But you can't do this," and he starts like jerking off and whatnot.
What the fuck am I? What?
This was like 2008 YouTube poop back in the days. So you know.
No, remember Toys Gone Wild?
So Wasn't that the deeper cut video?
Yes, YouTube poop toys
Yeah, I
gone
remember
wild.
that one.
You spin me right around, baby, right around.
Right. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into more detail with the story and shit. So anyway, Mama Luigi tells us this is a story and shit, and then you know, Yoshi dies.
Mm-hmm.
Luigi is depressed and whatnot. He's just like, it's all Link's fault.
Wow.
And then it cuts to like a, you know, sprite version of Luigi and Link from, you know, Super Mario World and Faces of Evil, respectively. Oh yeah, and Luigi is holding a gun.
Because of course he is.
Yes. So Link is like, go ahead, do it. I want to die? And he's like, no. And then it just shows to like, Yoshi's funeral and whatnot. And then it just fades to black.
The end.
Oh wait, no! And then there's an after credits portion.
Of course, Walrus Guy would do an after credits portion. He's Walrus Guy.
And then, yes. And then it's fucking Dr. Rabbit on his, you know,
Hello
hot air
there!
balloon.
I am
just being like, make sure you keep on smiling, and make sure you do bright smiles every day. And then he rides off into the sunset going like, bright smiles will make the world a brighter place.
Remember when Dr. Rabbit?
Then the video ends.
Remember when Dr. Rabbit was a domestic terrorist?
Yes.
No, but like the thing about Zelda CDI is that it's still being intuitively used in YouTube poops today. Like with people do crazy edits. People do crazy alright. Yeah. People do crazy fucking like there was one that they completely did. It's like Link trying to steal a movie. He brought his cell phone in, recording it. And Ganon is pissed at Link for doing this, right? And he's like, what? He's using a cell phone! And Luigi's the usher?
Oh my god.
Excuse me, sir!
Please send me a link to this shit. I need to
see just look it up on YouTube, like, look at Link steals a movie or something. Like, there's like a ton, there's like a ton of videos that guy made. And then, there was this one guy made YouTube oops, he's not on YouTube anymore, his channel got taken down. Super Marjo64. He made my favorite, like, somewhat, like, mid-year YouTube poop. Like, before you could, I guess, like, right after you could call a classic poop a classic. This was, like, the in-between. It was called...
Oh, I found it.
What?
Yeah, I found, Link Pirates a Movie.
Link Pirates a Movie. So Super Mario 64. He made... This is one of my favorites, but he also did, like, crazy editing shit. He made this YouTube poop called WarioWare Poop Moves. It's dumb.
Oh boy.
It's dumb, but it works. Number one. And number two, he did this one like because I think he disappeared around 2012, and they were doing like he did like one based off the end of the world, right? And the edits were fucking outstanding. Like he got like cuts of Chris fighting shit in Resident Evil 5, and like he did like an animation. Like there was like you know how Chris shoots like the shotgun, right?
Yeah.
He somehow he ripped out like the animation like him fighting, like he did something like I think he might have played the game and that's like cropped it or something like that, but he did it. It was like I think he shot like Bubsy or somebody, and Bubsy like blew up into bloody chunks, like out of Gmod and shit. And I'm like, what? The guy went ham. The guy went ham, and it's like some of the best YouTube poops I've ever seen.
I remember this fucking classic. It was called Dinner Blaster 9000.
I remember the original Dinner Blaster and Dinner Blaster 2.
Yeah.
Fucking all it was Dinner Blaster, and then like it was.
Right, I remember Jitter Blaster.
I also remember the true faces of evil, and it was fucking it was Ouija. It was all Ouija's fault. Like the face of evil. No, it was like the true faces of evil. Like Link had to go to the Mushroom Kingdom to stop Ouija. And then there was another, and then there was like another, like Faces of Evil one where it was like this whole sort of narrative, and then one of the air quotes boss fights in it was Guanum painted white, like his purple robes were painted white, and it had his voice clips distorted, and he was a terrorist named Ulakle Needle.
What?
Yeah. And it like because it's an obvious parody of Middle Eastern terrorists. And Link goes to the Gerudo Desert to bargain for Zelda's life or something like that, and Ulakle Needle attacks him in a tank.
Huh.
And then like he gets to a fight, and the guy just edited in like all sorts of like weird guns and shit. And there was a part where what the hell, Harlequin from Faces of Evil was a main villain, and he trapped the king inside of his ruby eye.
Right.
And then I think Impa died at one point too, like in that, and then she was revived as like an evil zombie who tried to take over the kingdom. Super Mario 64. And that wasn't him though. But yeah, no, like Wanda Gamelon and Faces of Evil. Like you can do so much stupid shit with those games. And in all honesty, they're not that bad when you play them. Like I actually managed to get to try them out, and it's weird. Yeah, at first it's weird, but you adjust to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, you know, I've played games where I didn't understand the controls, but I had to adjust to the controls. It's not a foreign concept. It's natural. Like it's not gonna control like Zelda 2. Zelda 2 still controlled like ass, but it worked, you know?
Did it really control like ass?
Kinda, sorta. I don't have fond memories playing Zelda 2. All I remember is getting lost and dying a lot. Because that's literally what Zelda 2 is. And it had a life system.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
And like I said, I don't hate Zelda 2. I just think it's weird. It's just very weird to play.
Yeah, it is like a very weird...
Like, I'd rather...
It's a very weird game in like the fucking timeline and whatnot.
I'd rather play Faces of Evil and Wanda Gamelon over Zelda 2, honestly. Because, here's the thing. They might be like shitty in terms of gameplay, but here's the thing. The cutscenes and everything are what make them entertaining. I honestly want an official re-release of them, like, so that people could play them today. Because they're really fucking expensive games. I am not going to give any recompense to that third Zelda game on the CDI.
Zelda's Adventure?
Yeah, that was very fucking boring. And, by the way, Tolamac is Camelot spelled backwards.
Of course it is.
Yeah. At least Gamelon and Korodai were unique. Tolamac is just Camelot spelled backwards.
It's like Nilbog. It's just Goblin spelled backwards.
They're eating her. Now they're gonna eat me. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
How about that though? Like still Goblin, like Troll 2 has nothing to do with Troll 1.
That was actually on yesterday, the first Troll movie.
And
I actually did have like Troll 1 and 2 on like DVD.
Troll 1 is actually kind of creepy sometimes. But Troll...
Yeah, it kind of is, but it's like boring for the most part.
No shit. You got like... there's a dwarf giving exposition.
Mm-hmm.
While like all the little fucking weird monsters sing a song.
Yeah. And then you have like the dad trying like do just like fucking. He's like fucking dancing to like Summertime Blues and shit, but it's just like, it's like, have you guys ever like
White people dancing?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you know, we just. I think. Have your parents ever like chaperoned a dance before? And you just see them dancing and whatnot, and you just like fucking cringe.
No, thank freaking Lord, no. My grandmother, I think, chaperoned something, but she didn't dance. She couldn't dance. She was an old lady.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, you've been to like some sort of like outing or whatnot, like, you know, a wedding or some party or something like that. And you just see like your parents dancing, and you're just like, oh god.
Or your parents, or one of your parents drags you out to dance.
That's what they tried to do at my cousin's wedding, and I wasn't having it. Well, it was like me and my brother, and we were not having it.
You don't want to be turned into jib jabbers. No, but
God, that shit was just like. Anyway, that's
Troll 2, Ptolemaic. Ptolemaic is Camelot spelled backwards. Like, all right, you're already trying to turn the most cliched, like fantasy story to King Arthur. You're trying to put that into the Zelda universe. There's a problem. Now, however, I will say this: the voice acting in that game is hilarious because of how stupid and out of nowhere it is.
Apparently, the old guy was voiced by the same guy who did Pooh in the Too Smart for Strangers video.
Well then.
What a wise choice, young princess. Now, I will say this too. It did have a dungeon that I actually enjoyed.
You actually played it?
Oh my god. Yeah, it did. That was one of the few that's one of the few CDI games my cousin didn't have, but he had an emulator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I've played stuff on emulators. I just don't have an emulator myself. So he had the emulator for he wasn't forking over money for a CDI. He wants one, but he's not forking over that. He's not forking over like hundreds of dollars for.
Oh yeah, no, because those things are fucking expensive as shit.
Just for 3 games, he has my mindset. He's not forking over like hundreds of dollars for 3 games. Like he'd rather just like fucking, you know, like get a ROM or something like that and play it through that.
Yeah, that was me with the 32X, which is like I do have like the fucking Sega CD and shit, but I'm not forking over money for like the 32X and shit, just so I can have like what 6 games.
Right. Maybe I don't know.
So, and the dungeon that I really enjoyed, and I'm surprised Zelda hasn't done this yet. It was a circus tent.
Really?
Yes. And the boss is like this demonic clown guy, and before people say Pennywise, no. I'd argue he's more like the trickster boss from Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, he sort of, like, flips around the arena, throws knives at you and shit like that. It's really cool. And I never would have expected, like, a boss like that in, like, you know, a CDI in, like, that game at all. Now, that actually did inspire me to try to do. That actually did inspire me when I was making Minecraft adventure maps. That you can't play because this was on the Xbox version, and you can only really share worlds. Like, I tried to make one. I tried to make like a carnival area, and the dungeon was a tent. And I still want to do something like that for a game. If I ever make like a game like that. If I ever get a chance to like do a sort of like weird game like that. Like I have a like. I might write down a story because I was working on a Minecraft adventure map not too long ago, and I'm thinking I could still I could still sort of adapt that story into a game maybe because it's a cool idea.
Oh yeah, by the way, Marek, I still have some of your designs from like those characters' designs you asked me to do and whatnot.
Oh god.
Oh no.
How are they now?
They're still the same. I haven't like done that much.
Hey, I'm gonna go for now, right?
All right, talk to you later, man. Thanks
the sheriff with two.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, okay.
See you, Eugene. Have a good night, man.
Goodbye.
Talk about the weird indie game. You ever play Nintendo Nightmare, Zig?
No, can't say I have.
Oh boy, I want to explain this game so bad to you, but at some point I gotta stream it, and I gotta risk downloading it off of Game Jolt and getting a virus.
Oh, you have to get it off of Game Jolt?
Yes, it's that
Is
old.
it like one of those crappy like Game Maker Studio games?
Yes, and all the music is MIDIs, and it's amazing.
Oh my god.
Alright, so the story goes as such. Mario, alright, so Nintendo, like the world of Nintendo, is under attack by Microsoft and the Shroobs, who have teamed up to destroy Nintendo.
Okay, we're going off to a really good start here.
But Princess Peach calls out to Mario, and like Mario out on an adventure starts running back to the castle, and like the first level is this weird sort of like pinhead Mario. And you get to jump on like these weird shaped shrubs, and you can pick up like their mushroom caps and throw them at stuff. It's like, so you get back to like base camp or something like that. You find out the castle was destroyed, and Luigi's there, and he tells you that like I think Peach is dead or something like that. And it turns out all the Nintendo characters are now sort of teamed up to fight back against this horrible sequence of events. And like when you leave, like the leader, like the sort of tactician leader is Professor Egad.
Of course it's Egad.
And right outside of the base camp, you can see a bunch of Koopas. Like Koopa Troopas, they look like turtles, and they have like guns and shit on their back, and they're shooting at stuff. They're shooting at like targets and crap. And Mario gets a gun in this.
Oh my god!
Like, all right. So the first level is very Mario-esque. Like there's actual worlds, by the way. And, oh yeah, and guess what the pickup is? Guess what like the pickups are? Like the collectibles.
What are the pickups?
Game save backups, like source code backups. Pages.
You're kidding me.
No, it's what it is. Source code backups is the collectible.
Oh no!
It's an amazing game. All right, so like. The second level is a movie studio where the director of the movies is Billy from Saw.
Of course it is.
Right?
Of course it's fucking Billy.
And like you have to protect Kenny. You have to protect Kenny.
From South Park?
Yes, Kenny from South Park is wandering around. And the music that's playing is a MIDI version of the Mortal Kombat theme.
Go on.
So you have to defend Kenny from zombies, or else he'll turn into a zombie, or he's been infected by the zombies or some shit like that, right?
Mhm.
And like you have to protect him or he'll die, and if it's like the quest is called like, oh my god, he killed Kenny, and you got to protect Kenny.
You bastard.
Yeah. And then you have to go, and then you have to work in a movie. You have to work in one of the movies where you play as the sheriff of a town with 2 Uzis, and you basically just have to kill everything on the screen. And this is the first instance of a gun, and you could go in first person with the guns, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I got the inspiration for Sheriff. Like, just that stupid little segment, and because I fucking love it too much. It's just so, it's so cool, right? The sheriff of a town with 2 Uzis as his weapons.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got the idea for Sheriff, because I'm like, that is so fucking cool. I want to turn that into an actual character. And I basically just made like, in this like alternate Europe, he's like the American colony. Like,
yeah.
He's like it's like a frontier western town in the middle of fake Europe.
Oh yeah, like whatchamacallit in Spain.
Yeah, and he's the only law, and he's the only law. If you fuck up on his watch, he's gonna fuck you up with his Uzis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm gonna talk about the I want to talk about Nintendo Nightmare, and my memory is shoddy, but all I know is that like a couple levels later, you find out that you go to like this forest area, and you fight this giant forest spirit who's a giant mushroom, and you get high.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is he beats you, you die, and then his little pet Pikmin come and take you to the onion, and you're turned into a Pikmin. And the game turns into Pikmin. And guess what happens in this segment? Another like a blue tribe of Pikmin try to kill you. And your forest spirit friend, your forest spirit master tells you to go fight and destroy them. Now, here's the thing. You like, the guns just magically appear and all the Pikmin are like shooting guns and shit and dying and everything like that, right? Now, you want to know what you gotta do?
What do you have to do?
You walk over to the onion. You go inside. You get put on like an AC-130 gun turret. Mm-hmm. And you gotta shoot down the enemy onion.
I see.
In this boss fight, it's amazing, right? So you shoot, like, you're trying to shoot that, and then when you win, you get the page, and you're back to normal as Mario. No questions asked. Eventually, Mario has to break into... He has to steal, and he has to hijack a plane, because he's got to go to the Death Egg, right? Because the Galactic Empire showed up.
Right.
But before we go to the Galactic Empire, you want to know what happens? Mario goes to Raccoon City.
Okay.
Where the first mission in that level plays out like that Robot Chicken skit with the Mario Brothers going to Vice City. And I remember there's a sign that you could read. It says, "Welcome to Raccoon City, the city of freedom."
Well, now.
And the whole ending segment of that is just that whole skit from, like, that Mario thing. I see pretty colors everywhere. I see, like, oh man, I see all these pretty colors. Look at all the gold coins. I'm rich. And you start collecting coins and just running over people. And you crash your car. And you're in, so you get thrown, it turns out, like, the zombie infection happens. It's Resident Evil and the Raccoon City shit goes on. So from there you basically thrown out in the middle of like the shitter, and you have to fight your way through the city. You got to kill the zombies now. And what happens is you get put on trial after this. And guess who? Guess who? Your court. Guess who your lawyer is?
What?
Phoenix Wright.
Objection.
And it turns into a fucking Ace Attorney parody. Now Zig. Zig. You like guess what happens? You can like be like, so they pull up the evidence of Mario killing a zombie, which is just like which is the image that you see at the beginning of the game when you first started up. And it's like, Mario, it is here, you are seen here, killing this zombie. His name was Jeff. How do you plead? You plead guilty and you get a game over and everything like that. I plead not guilty. I did not kill Jeff. Alright, well then who killed Jeff? The answer is Darth Vader.
Of course it's Darth Vader.
And, you know, he calls Mario a prick and he escapes to the Death Egg. And you have to take down the Death Egg. So what happens is Mario goes to the he goes to the airport and he fights Dustman from Mega Man to steal an R-Wing to fly to space, right?
Uh-huh.
And you fly through space to get to the Death Egg. You fly to space, you get to the Death Egg, and you have to kill stormtroopers. I know, yeah, you're a little army of people. So you get like Pikmin, you got Pikmin on your side. You have Koopa Troopas and all this other shit that's helping you fight and everything like that. Because remember, you're also trying to gain allies to help you defend against this shit. And you die. Like you go to fight Darth Vader. It turns out Darth Vader is Luigi this whole time.
Jesus.
And that it's how the Shroobs and Microsoft got the save game backups. He sold out Nintendo to Microsoft.
Okay.
So Mario is like air quotes dead now, right? And guess who takes over the game from here?
Who?
Link.
Oh boy.
And it turns into like a pseudo Zelda like, and it's great. And Link gets guns too. He gets his sword and guts, and you have to beat the game as Link from there on. And Link is pretty much the exact same character, like this, like model wise as Mario. Just like, you know, he looks like Toon Link from Wind Waker.
Oh, okay.
And it turns out the true final battle is not with Darth Vader or Bill Gates or anybody like that. No, the final battle is against the Mecha Doomsday Machine. And you know who the Mecha Doomsday Machine is?
What?
Chuck Norris.
When was this game fucking made? Because this sounds like something from like 2009, 2010.
When was this game made? When was this game made, he asks. Oh boy. It was made a long time ago, that's all I can tell you, pretty much.
Alright.
And all the music is midis. Glory, glory, glory to the midis. That's how I fell in love with midis, by the way, that game. And oh yeah, here's how buggy it is. Oh, and here's the fun part too. So one of the save game backups you can buy from the trader. You can buy all sorts of stuff from the trader, like weapons and shit. But when you die, they're gone. Like they leave you. So one of the save backups is one of the source code backups is sold by the trader for 999 coins. I cannot English. Sorry, fuck. My mouth is dry. I gotta drink something. I've been talking too much.
Alright.
And here's how weird the game works too. So they turned a glitch area into an actual level with save backups that you can collect.
Alright.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and I fucking love it. Like, I don't know how to describe this game, like, other than pure insanity in the video game. And it's honestly one of my favorite freeware indie games. It's just so batshit. Oh my god, I can't get over that.
Yeah.
Like talk about YouTube poop the game. There you go. Funniest shit I've ever seen. And nobody turned into a pickle this time.
Yeah, that just sparked some memories for me, especially just like. So, back when I was like 13, like 12, 13, I went to this like summer day camp thing
Oh boy.
to learn like about fucking game design and whatnot. And like, okay, so for like the first 2 weeks, we learned about like the basics of like a game maker studio and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, the fucking like how the drag and drop functions work, you know, how to make like an enemy like go towards the player and whatnot, how to make like a second like character and make that like player 2 and shit. It was insanity. It was just like my fucking game was ass, to be honest.
Oh god, what crossover did you make?
It was like Pac-Man meets the Matrix.
Oh my god. Alright, that's a better crossover than my super ultimate crossover when I was in like fucking, I forgot what grade. I think maybe like 3rd or 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, we had to write so I was on the newspaper and they put me in the comics part, right?
Oh boy.
And so this got away with parody. I wrote a column, like this whole stupid little comic. It was fucking like Dead Space meets Resident Evil meets Mario Brothers and shit, like, because I was like drawing off of fucking whatchamacallit, and this is the Catholic school, and for some reason they had guns, but they didn't care that they were using guns.
Okay.
They didn't care that like Barry Burton, Jill Valentine, and Carlos Oliveira were using guns to like try to fight shit, or like people were getting like slaughtered by the necromorphs and crap. I sort of could see how I did it is like the hive mind was like a villain. So he's like on the consortium. He's like on the consortium of evil, and it was like the Legion of Doom of supervillains from the games. The hive mind is just this giant worm sitting in the little fucking like chair. And like, oh yeah, we'll invade with the necromorphs and everything like that, and then like, somehow I got away with that, and I don't know how I got away with it.
You just did.
I don't know how the fuck that. It's just, it was just like a what? Like, you know, when I think back on that, I'm like, how did that get the okay? How is it made? Like, how did I get into the stupid newspaper? And I'm like, the school newspaper, and then I realized, you know, the school newspaper, it's like the whole thing is just grades like 1 through 8. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a shit. Let's just let them put that stupid thing in the paper.
Oh, okay.
I like, now that I think about it, it was probably like that. We'll let everybody could put something in that stupid paper, and then like this little comic strip went on for like ever is the stupid part. And, like,
oh man.
Yeah, it wasn't even finished too.
Oh.
It wasn't finished.
That reminds me of this one comic strip that was made for like kids and whatnot, and they would do like this thing where it would be like, oh, today's drawing is made by Billy. He's age 8. Now.
Oh boy, what happened now, Zach?
Somebody like fucking submitted a drawing of like Dio Brando and whatnot, and said like, oh, today's drawing is made to you by Hirohiko, aged 12, or something like that.
Oh boy, this is
And
cool.
you can like tell that, you know, that's like Dio Brando and whatnot. Here, I'll put it in like the fucking picture memes and shit.
He traced it, is what you're getting at?
Somebody traced it and submitted it, being like, "Oh, my little boy Hirohiko Araki, you know, he's an exchange student from Japan, made this." Either that, or I have a hypothetical.
What's the hypothetical?
My hypothetical is that Hirohiko Araki one day came across that
Magazine.
magazine for kids
And thought, let me send this in.
and so, yeah, let me send this in.
And this is an American magazine, or is this a
This is an American magazine. This is
So you're saying here Araki decided to fucking be like a little clown man and like send his own drawing it. That's fucking great.
yeah, but then again, this is my little hypothetical, so
Take it with a
know.
grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt. I just think that somebody just, you know, was thought, hey, I'm gonna troll this little thing by putting in like Dio Brando and whatnot. Because this wasn't the first time like the kids cartoonist drawing page got like trolled, dunked on and shit. Somebody actually submitted in Sonichu being like, hey, today's terrific artist is Christian, age 9. Meanwhile, that was drawn by a 29-year-old at the time.
Oh my god, they don't fact check, they don't check they don't look at the internet. Oh my god. That's fucking hilarious. I can't. Oh my god. Alright. I don't know whether I should save this for tomorrow. This topic that I wanted to bring up. It's related to anime and why anime pisses me off so much. Do you think
if you want to save it for tomorrow, save it for tomorrow, man.
Yeah, I think it would be a better topic for tomorrow because it like it's just modern day anime and how like all the tropes are stupid. All the tropes are the same and they're not funny. And I don't understand how stuff like Pop Team Epic is popular when it's, you know, when it's just like I'll explain it all tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just remind me. Just remind me
I'll
to
remind
bring
you.
that up, because I need to discuss that shit. That like. It's this that's my whole fucking like thing about it. It's like anime. What does that other path lead to, actually? I wonder, before we go over there. It's probably like that Trash Coast area, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, probably.
Treacher's Landing. No, I don't remember what the hell that area is called. Rust Commons.
I've received proof of Mad Mel's demise. Claptraps everywhere will rejoice. Please wait while I enable access to New Haven.
And now here's where the game coincidentally really begins. But yeah, like.
Oh, come on, let's get down. Come on, everybody. Check it out, I'm dead.
Yes, I read the manga.
Because I read the manga.
Oh yeah. Talk about. I just want to talk about Weeaboos 1 sec too before I just drop the subject. So I got recommended a shitty song, and I hate, like I said, I hate the perception that anime has when it comes to people. Because the modern state of anime is shit. And like I said, I'll talk more about that tomorrow. But I got recommended a song on YouTube by some rando, and I'm like, the music video, I'm like, this looks like shit. The song was kind of shit because it's just one of those like, it's like, you know, it's like a 4chan sort of trolling song, and I'm just like, done with that crap now. It's like, it's not funny anymore. It's just like, ugh. They're just making fun of someone for like their appearance and shit. It's just like what are you for? You know what I mean? So it's like, Toonami. It's like Toonami ruined a whole generation of weeaboos or something like that. And I'm like, that was the title of it. And it's like the most obvious fucking thing ever. And I'm like, wow.
Obvious troll is obvious.
Yeah, it's like obvious bullshit. So like this is what pisses me off about weeaboos, is that like Japan isn't the most best place in the fucking world. It has a lot of problems, as a lot of countries have a lot of problems. There's really no like good place to live. There's really no great country. There's like, you know, there's decent countries, but there's no like, you know, great country. Like the ultimate, there's no ultimate utopia paradise bullshit like that. And like, just because a freaking cartoon from the other country paints this picture, a lot of cartoons from other countries paint the picture of like it being like, you know, of everything being like, you know, super fantastical, super magical, extra fantastical bullshit. One of them being like I said, just look at some shit like Matu Patlu, for example, from like India.
I've never seen that one before, so
I never even watched it, but it looks like, you know, it literally looks like what a cartoon, it's just like a super light, it's like what every cartoon pretty much does with its world if it's set in like the real world ish. It just tries to do like a clean environment. Like, oh, like, you know, nothing's wrong here. It's just, you know, shit. But no, it's not like that. I'm not even trying to be cynical about it. But no, because a cartoon says it, doesn't mean it's true. And, you know, if you go, like, you know, if you go to Japan, like, people won't want to, like, you know, slobber your dingus. You know, like nobody's gonna want to like slobber your dingus and shit like that. That's you know it dating and shit like that. That's the same everywhere, man. You gotta like it's a confidence game. Like I even hate to say that sort of thing too, bringing that shit up, but it's true. It's true.
True.
Like you know like no one's entitled to love. Love is like earned. Like love from a mutual partner is sort of earned. Like it's not like you know you do something good for the person and then like they're supposed to love you back. And like no, it's not. That's not how that works. It's not.
Right.
It's you know it's not like entitled like that. Like love is earned like that unless it's like parental love. In that case, it's just like you know unless you got like super shitty parents or some shit like that. Like that's you know they're supposed to love you know like your family's like, supposed to love and support you. But that's like different in terms of, that's different than what I'm getting at. But yeah, like weeaboos, just it bothers me that it's just like no, this other place you know everywhere has problems. Like everywhere has problems. It's not you know like there's no place that is just perfect. Nothing like that. And once again, I'll talk a little more about that like later. Well, I'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
With my seething, my Arthur clenching fist at the anime. It's like
I told you not to touch it.
yeah, exactly. Like I want to like anime, but anime doesn't want me to like it. Is the thing. I'm just gonna point it like that. Like when the West does cartoons, when the West does cartoons more entertaining than like what does basically essentially anime that's not anime better than anime, there's a problem. Or it's China basically making like fake-ish anime to try to like you know like Tencent made games like Azure Lane and fucking what the hell is that game called with the girls who are like guns or something like that, or they're named after guns. It's
Was it like a gun gal or something like that?
Galgun is actually a Japanese thing, and it's
Oh, okay.
that's different. What the fuck is that called? I can't remember.
Anywho,
it's not Hardcore Girls. It's some shit like that. But if I'll see it and I'll remember and I'll talk about it tomorrow. But like that whole crap just gets on my fucking nerves. It's like it's so stupid. Like people like it's like that's how I feel. That's how I feel. It's like shitty. And there's one show, and once again, talk about it more tomorrow. If you want to hear that, check out the stream tomorrow. We're gonna be doing some Nautica. I'm gonna plug that. There's one show in particular that died before its time because it came out too fucking early for all of the things that it was making fun of to come out. And like there's another show that people praise now for doing like air quotes parody, but I watched it and I think it's horrible. Like I think it's horrible because it's just unfunny. And I know comedy is subjective and everything like that, but you know, it's a personal opinion, and everybody, and like I said, you got a problem with opinions. Everybody has an opinion, and they all they're like assholes. They all stink. So that's the whole case in point with that.
I hope you're avoiding the negative element around here.
I hope you're avoiding the negative element.
For the time being.
Oh, that came at the perfect time. I hope you're avoiding the negative element around here. I'm bringing in the negative element, baby.
anyway.
Guns, more guns. Firepower also is final. Oh yeah, and this is something too I should say. Borderlands 2 got the character representation in like the towns and cities right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like I don't know, the cities and stuff feel more lived in than this.
Mm.
All right, so let's see. All the quests are separated by. So let's go. Let's do the arid Badlands first. We'll go. Is TK okay? Because it's right over. Arid Hills. Oh. This is where Sledge's safe houses, Lost Cave, Headstone Mine, Titan's End, Jacob's Cove, the Underdome, T-Bone Junction, Tartarus Station, Dahl Headland, New Haven. Alright, Firestone. Ugh. Ugh. But yeah. Vigigames.
Vigigames.
Talk about Vigigames and anime. You ever see those like weird mid-tier JRPGs?
Are you talking about the ones that were like made in like RPG Maker and whatnot?
No. Like they're like they're 3D, but you know they have a budget of being 3D, but they're like I don't want to like specifically like say it's like sort of like not like the Tales series, but like
Yeah, I think I know what
they're
you're
like
talking
you know
about.
they're turn-based RPGs, but they're not like really good. Like they're the most generic turn-based RPGs ever made.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, you know, they're sort of like, oh, it's just a, like, you know, it's literally just it's an RPG, so it has the turn-based combat, everything like that, right? Like, but it's like very midline. They're never translated into English. And
Yeah.
TK Baja's dead. Oh man.
Rip.
Yep, ripperoni and cheese.
You know, speaking of JRPGs, you ever played any of the games from like the Lunar series or anything like that? You know, like Silver Star, Eternal Blue.
No. They sound familiar though.
They were originally released on the Sega CD, but then they were later ported to the PS1.
Ah. So like they got the Final Fantasy treatment. Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger treatment.
Yeah, for the most part.
Like Silver Star. It sounds familiar, but I think I might be like thinking of another game or part of another game. Because whenever I hear Star, I think of whenever I hear Star in that sort of context, like something Star, I think of the beginning of Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, where Jedi Master Adigalia sends a message to Mace Windu, and her call sign is Shooting Star. She was like shooting star to old folks home. Old folks home here. But yeah, I think, like, I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't think so is the thing. Like, false correlation. I know a Fantasy Star.
Yeah.
And I know a Fantasy Star and how it's like sort of diet Final Fantasy. It's like that's the nicest way I could put it.
Yeah, it was just like one of those JRPGs that was brought over here to the West, and you know, like,
Holy fuck.
or you know, they did like try to like, they did like translate it to like as close as possible to like the original like Japanese stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew like there would be some jokes that would just like fly over.
Yeah.
So they replaced it with like pop culture references that we would get here in the States and whatnot. You know what?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh boy. So they got so they did basically 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just like it wasn't like too.
It wasn't as that charming.
I wouldn't say, no. Yeah,
It's his cousin Jesse Wheeler.
yeah, something to that effect.
I'm sorry. I have to make it 4Kids because I fucking love 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't give a
I
shit.
know.
I do not give a fuck what people think. Like I said, everybody has opinions. They all stink. I can have an opinion. It's different for
Again, it was just like
yeah.
they did throw in like pop culture references and everything like that.
It's not that game. It's the game where it's just like, wow, I really can't feel my body. Like it has like the really bad like voice acting.
There is actually voice acting in it,
Okay.
but it's like very little. There's like very little of it because, you know, CD limitations and everything at the time and whatnot.
Fucking.
But it actually isn't that bad. But you know, there are times where it's just like, it does get to a little over the top. But you know, I actually like, I like that. It's like one of those like, you know, so bad it's good sort of things.
Over the top is best.
Yeah.
Look, if you can't overact, like that's all right. This is I hate when people, oh, this person's overacting, this person's underacting. It's like, it's literally like when I heard about blood pressures, I'm like, so like I'm crazy about like, you know, how high or low blood pressure is, right, with me. And then I get a fucking fact check and I realize, oh, you can't have low blood pressure neither. That could also lead to a stroke. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, so me doing what I'm doing could also kill me too. Wow, that's fun. But you know, like I hate that stupid. Oh, there's this perfect middle ground. It's like, fuck that. Like, if you know, ham it up if you want to ham it up. Like, you know, if you want to be somber in tone, like, you know, laxative, like, you know, relax the roll a bit, loosen up, be like, you know, loosen up with it. Like, if you know, it's, you don't have to like play it like that. Like that, like I really don't like how, oh, perfectionism is kind of shitty.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, going back to what I was saying like earlier, like the people who like localized it here and everything like that, the people like published it here, Working Designs.
Yeah.
They also went ham on like the packaging and whatnot.
Oh boy.
Like they would have like just, you know, full color game manuals and whatnot, and like the letters would be like embroidered and shit.
I already like this company.
Well, they're no longer around. They went under business like around 2005.
Of course they did, because it's not profitable to do all that stuff. It's awesome that they did it, but it's not profitable, so they cannot last.
I know, but
Yep.
the guy who was like the guy who was like one of the key people there, Victor Ireland, did make like another like publishing company in like the same vein as Working Designs and whatnot, called Gaijin Works.
Now that's a crazy name. Gaijin Works.
Yeah.
Was it co-owned by Gaijin Goomba? Nyang, nyang, nyang. Gaijin Works. Vanquish.
Again, it was just like one of those things.
Yep.
But yeah, I enjoyed the games for like the most part.
That's good. That's good that like they made like some interesting I guess decisions. Once again, I'll have a lot to talk about subs v dubs in the fucking in tomorrow.
Tomorrow's stream.
Yeah, because I am actually pissed. I'm actually very much pissed off in relation with that, because we're still... I think it's a little more lax now, thank God, because anime is kind of dying out. Because people are just kind of realizing it's all the same. But once again, I'll talk... And I really hate to sound like, check out tomorrow's stream. I really don't want to talk about this tonight, because it's going to be a long discussion, and I'd rather be doing something relaxing rather than something tense talking about it.
Right, you rather... Yeah, anyway.
And that's how you kill Mothrak.
That's how you do it.
I want to mount that on my wall. I don't even have a wall. I'm streaming out in the open.
I'm also just I'm just a figment of your imagination, like all your other co-hosts.
Yeah, that tier list.
We're all just...
That tier list spoke a lot about that. That tier list thing you made speaks a lot about it.
For everybody who follows us and is like part of the Discord, please check out my my stream. I mean, not my stream, my fucking tier list I made of like all the co-hosts.
Co-host tier list, that fucking shit. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't believe, and I'm like, I was clowning with that, and one of our co-hosts took it a little serious. That's all I had to say. And it's me just...
Yeah, he was clowning yet at the same time it was just like he was doing it in like the confines of like how it actually works and shit.
Yep.
But other than that,
I don't like know how tier lists fully work. I just threw everybody on the F tier because fuck it. It's... Because fuck it. Everyone in my book is an F. You all get an F. And you gotta help us.
the only real winners here are the viewers.
Yeah. Everyone's a winner here. Oh, look at that. This motherfucker got shot.
Was that one of Claptrap's brothers?
Are all the Claptraps just brothers because they're all the same production line?
Yeah, true.
Like every robot is related. Like, I've seen shit that'll, like, you know, enjoy. You see my gun? But I've seen shit that'll be like, you know, man, I can't believe I can't believe this sort of thing. But like the fun part about I guess it's like the fun part about this whole sort of thing, I guess. Well, let's get our our quest rewards.
Yes.
All right, we gotta go back to Mr. What's his face?
Scooter?
Yep.
Skeeter?
Skeeter. Get you one.
Hey man, hey, you need something?
Oh yeah, when we get to T-Bone Junction, that's when I think that the towns really start to like feel real, like, you know, lived in and shit like that, like Borderlands 2 level of like good.
Yeah, I know what you...
Because yeah, New Haven here is just kind of like It's shitty. It's a pseudo. It's like I said, it's trying to be a pseudo MMO, but you can't complain about that too much, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yo, do you think it's safe to talk about Final Fantasy VII, like the original remake and spoilers right now, since we're talking about RPGs?
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
Like,
it, like, 'cause
I'm gonna just say it right now. I've never played Final Fantasy VII. The only Final Fantasy game I've ever played, like out of the main ones, was Final Fantasy IV, and even then I didn't really get far into that.
I did, and
You know what I'm saying?
I did, and I envy you, because that game pissed me right the fuck off. Well, it's safe to talk about Final Fantasy VII spoilers because the game. I could just say this with like perfectly complete non-abaddon. No one is gonna be the original. Everybody kind of knows at this point, I think.
Yeah.
And the remake it's on its own track now, so that's pretty much it. Like that, like there's big differences. I hate Final Fantasy VII with a passion, and I wouldn't say on a level of how the Spoony one doesn't like Final Fantasy VIII, because I also don't like Final Fantasy VIII, but for other reasons. Because at one point I had hope that the game could have redeemed itself from how dumb it was, because there was a theory that said that the rest of the game after a certain point was in a death dream. Now I don't know who thought. Now in hindsight, it's like, why would you have a dream when you're dying or something like that? I don't understand that one. I don't think that was ever been recorded ever, if you can possibly record that. But
I like to think that, it's something that can happen and whatnot.
it's possible. It is possible if it's like going to sleep for good.
My whole thing is just like, I think that the subconscious still lives on even though like the body is dead and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it does sound like horrifying and shit like that.
Like
Anyway, go on.
Like but yeah, I do not like Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VIII could have been cool, but no. Leon was much better in Kingdom Hearts than he was in Final Fantasy VIII. And 7, though, is a game I have a burning hatred for because it's so shit and everybody loves it. Like, everybody who's played it loved it, except for me. And I'm like, I don't see what people see in this game. I see like a bunch of wasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
That I think the remake has actually instilled some hope in me that the rest of like the 7 remake games are going to be as good, will have like a better story than the original.
Uh-huh.
Like, all right, here's my big issue. So the cool villain Genova is thrown to the side for pretty boy Sephiroth.
True.
Like,
True.
I conceptually don't like Sephiroth because he's literally just an anime pretty boy. It's just like, you get rid of this cool, like, because here's the thing, and Genova as a character, like, not even as a character, but Genova as a force is fucking insane. It's a great concept for a villain. Like, great concept for a villain and all that shit. But it's just thrown to the side in favor of, like, I don't know how to, like I said, a pretty boy that, like, can mutate himself. Ooh, scary. It's like pulling your thumb off. It's like air quotes pulling your thumb off of your hand.
Wasn't it because of like some sort of like connection between Sephiroth and Cloud that I can't really remember? Like there was like some sort of like.
Oh shit. Like they don't really have a connection other than like Cloud and Zack knew each other, and Sephiroth was like a dick to Zack, and he betrayed everybody, and then Zack basically broke Shinra law, and then like he went rogue, and then he died trying to defend Cloud, who was in a Maka-induced coma because he got injected with the Mako energy or whatever the hell it's called. That's Crisis Core. That's Crisis Core happened. It's all I gotta say. Crisis Core happened, and like, all right, it's fine to have Sephiroth be the villain of Crisis Core because it's supposed to kick off the events. But here's the thing, right? Sephiroth is supposed to be the sort of, because it's essentially the child of Genova, right?
Right.
And like he's essentially the child of Genova, and he was going to be whatchamacallit. He was supposed to be like the puppet, like, you know, he's Genova's commander and crap like that, right? But no,
yeah.
It's thrown away because, oh, we have to kill off Genova. We have to kill off Genova because we gotta make, you know, we can't have the villain be a force of nature, or like some otherworldly force. We need to have like an air quotes tangible villain. Now, and I'm the type of person, right? I love a good creature feature, right? I'd rather have a tangible threat than like a force of nature threat. But here's the thing. Genova is both a force of nature and a tangible threat. It's a fucking monster. Like,
right.
it's the Final Fantasy's version of the Thing. And it's just thrown to the wayside for fucking, like I said, a pretty boy with a long sword. Like, Sephiroth isn't intimidating. Oh, he can kill you in, like, a few hits. Yeah, a lot of, like, high-level enemies in RPGs can kill you in a few hits. Like, Sephiroth ain't special. He's just a guy with a sword who has a cool theme song. Or as I like to go, Xbox Pekingese near a bear manatees, Xbox Pekingese. Sephiroth, dun 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 dun. Sephiroth. Look. Let me sum up. The Final Fantasy VII has as much agency to me as the Robot Chicken sketch of it did, where they're all working in a fast food department and Sephiroth's the manager.
Okay.
They fight the fucking potato. They chop up the potato. Someone came up with a good concept. And here's the thing, though. I can't exactly defend, because Final Fantasy VII is like one of the worst defenders of this whole sort of scenario too. Someone brought up that the enemies in Final Fantasy VII really don't fit. They're just kind of like, all of them are just kind of like legacy enemies. They've been there from the start, so they're just gonna throw them in the game anyway, without any like sort of conscious how they work with the world. Now, I know. Here's the thing. Unfortunately for me, I tend to know a lot about things I don't like. Because I want to find out how this went bad, really, right? Or why it went so bad for me, and that's how I discover like all sorts of like secret lost content and everything like that, right? So
yeah.
So I said like, you know, so in Final Fantasy Final Fantasy IX gave a real good explanation as to why the monsters are in the world. It's because they're birthed from the fog, and that is how they also make the dark mages, like how Queen Garnet makes her dark mage army and shit like that in the game. Now in Final Fantasy, yeah, they're born from the fog of the world, like that just inherits the world. Like it's some sort of evil force from like, it's just some sort of evil force from like beyond. and that's why I like Final Fantasy IX so much. It's able to pull off Genova. You know, it's able to pull off Genova in a cool way. It's like it still does what Genova did, where it's like this like weird sort of essence thing, but it's not exactly like it's a force of nature that gives birth to monsters and shit like that, right? While Genova is more of a thing monster from like I said, the Thing. The Final Fantasy IX fog is like nature itself in a way that's like trying to fuck everything up. So I found out, because I know a lot about games I don't like and crap like that, like trying to figure out why and how they went wrong. I find out that a lot of the enemies in Final Fantasy VII are just mutants that were made by Mako energy. Because evil corporation bad, polluting planet. So let's have mutant enemies that just look like look like classic Final Fantasy enemies and shit like that, right? That's how we explain it. But it's obvious to tell what's an actual mutant from just like, oh, it's just a legacy enemy from the original Final Fantasy game coming back for like more, right? So so Genova already, like I said, has the ability to infect things with cells and turn them into monsters and crap like that, right? So, you know, you can easily have that be an explanation and have, like, you know, some of the most fucked up monster designs ever in a Final Fantasy game. But no, 7 is, like, very milquetoast. It's one of the most bland fucking games. It's like one of those bland fucking like Final Fantasy games I've ever played, because how milquetoast is. And the original game is just a fantasy title. Like there's no like sort of like there's no sort like very few sort of futuristic plot points going on there.
Shit. Sorry.
And you know, like I said, it borders on being cliche. So, like, you know, you have a million ways to do 7, but you do it in the most, you know, you just basically have all this, like, it's legacy content for the most part. Just like, oh yeah, you know, this was in Final Fantasy, you know, this was in Final Fantasy 1 through 6, so we gotta put it in here now too. Despite if it fits or not, like, we gotta force it, legacy content. You know, it's how the series operates. But I don't like that philosophy too. Fuck.
Because people like expect those monsters to be there to begin with and shit.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think anybody's looking forward to seeing. I don't think anybody looks forward to seeing a Marboros in Final Fantasy. That's all I gotta say about that. But like Final Fantasy, like I said, Final Fantasy 9 did it cool, but 7, like, all these opportunities to make Genova this interesting threat, but it's all wasted. Just to make the villain a generic person to hate. And from what I heard, because I heard that Final Fantasy 7 got like rewritten several times. And some of it has to do with an allegory of like the creator losing their mother. And I'm just like, all right, the allegory, like, and I don't know how much of that is true too, but the allegory is kind of lost now that, you know, allegory is kind of lost now that the game is out and everything like that. Like you know, it's a lost cause, because like, number one, you can't try to I don't know what he's trying to do, because he's trying to say like the life stream and the Mako energy are like interconnected with life and shit like that, and then Advent Children happens, and Advent Children is just as crappy as Final Fantasy VII is, because they bring back Sephiroth instead of doing something interesting. oh, they released Bahamut on the city. Ooh, but no, Bahamut isn't the threat. We can't. Once again, we cannot have a force of nature be the threat. We have to have it be someone tangible. Sephiroth was behind it the whole time, but it wasn't Sephiroth. It was like these other Advent children that were born in the exact same way Sephiroth was, but they combine with Genova's head, and then they make Sephiroth again because Sephiroth has to be the villain. Ooh, spooky. Sephiroth is overplayed. But yeah, like, that's pretty much my, but yeah, it's not my full take, because it's like, and the other thing is because of how, like I said, the crapshoot that Jehovah feels, because it's actually written into the world really well. But, like I said, they replaced it with, oh shit! An Iridian gun already, whoa. Talk about luck. But yeah, like, it was written into the world, but it's not used. It's wasted potential. I want to see more, but the game won't show me more. Or it won't work with anything like that. Because like I said, it expects people to, like, you know, play it. And Final Fantasy was like some people's first Final Fantasy game. You know, what would have been cool, like I said, dump the legacy content and make something completely new.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have like, then we have games like Dirge of Cerberus come out, which try to do something completely new for the most part, and nobody likes it because after they play Final Fantasy VII, they play the first few games and they expect the legacy content to show up a lot when it doesn't have to. Like, you know, if every Final Fantasy game is going to be in its own universe, everything could be different. I honestly feel like they do it out of like laziness, number one, because they don't want to design a shit ton of new enemies, and number two, like I said, just legacy content. People are going to expect it to be there, so let's just throw it in there without any rhyme or reason of why it's there, other than it's a Final Fantasy game. That's why it's there. Like Chocobos, for example. Like, sometimes I question why Chocobos are around in like some of the realistic games. Like, you know, you change the design a little bit, they look like ostriches or something like that, but it's like, you know, the Chocobos are just there because it's Final Fantasy. You expect Chocobos.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not even trying to be like a dick. I love Chocobos, but, you know, I love Chocobos, but I don't see the point of them if they're not needed. You know, I don't see the point of them being in every game. They're just there to be a staple. There's nothing wrong with trying to put a staple thing in a game, but, you know, if you're just gonna change the world every time, right? You might as well not have it in order to keep consistency. And that's just like a world building and writing perspective.
Now, has there ever been like a Final Fantasy game, like, disregarding, like, you know, Final Fantasy 13-2 or like Final Fantasy, you know, was there ever a game where, you know, like, it was like a direct sequel to like the previous one? Like, where it wasn't like, you know, they didn't say like, oh, this is like Final Fantasy, like this is Final Fantasy 13 Part 2. No, this is like Final Fantasy, you know, like Final Fantasy, like, you know.
Like, I get what you're saying. Like, they're telling, like, they're just, you know, this game is a direct sequel to this, but it's not. It doesn't say it in the title. Honestly, you could make that argument for Final Fantasies 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay. Again, I've never played. I the only Final Fantasy game I ever played was like 4, and that's pretty much it.
Because
Like out of like the main series and shit like that.
Because Final Fantasy 1 did the smart thing of having nameless heroes that you get to, like, you know, that you get to completely customize and have, like, character names and everything like that. So, you know, like, you know, they're gonna be, you could have basically say, like, oh, they're lost to legends or something like that, right? Because Final Fantasy, like,
Right.
for, like, later on, it just sort of became, like, its own, every universe, it was its own universe. Because, like, no one ever talks about S-Death in Final Fantasy, S-Death appeared in 4, right? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying not to sound like, I wish Eugene was here because he remembers a lot more about Final Fantasy than I do.
He was in 5.
Yeah. Like no one in 6 brings up S-Death from 5. Like no one brings up the villain from Final Fantasy 4. Like the only reason why
nobody even talks about like fucking Kefka and shit.
Yeah. And Kefka became the god of magic. No one ever stops and goes, hey, remember that clown bloke who became the god of magic and then was beaten by those, like, legendary heroes? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, the world's... Which, once again, like I said, it can save it from getting, you know, like, all this ancient history. Like, it protects it from, you know, being, like, you know, in this giant, like, fucking multi-universe. But at the same time... it's damaging when you use legacy content and trying to make stuff like you know, unique to the area.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like when you're trying to world build and everything like that, because unless it's the same world, it doesn't work. Because how did, like, you know, especially like how does this all work chronologically? Because some Final Fantasy games have like. Some Final Fantasy games have, like, you know, worlds that are in, like, the fucking far, far future. And then others that are, like, in modern times, pretty much, like Final Fantasy 15. Which is a cool idea, by the way. I'm actually glad they did that with 15. I can't play 15 because it's going to take me forever to play that fucking game.
True.
I own it, and I played it for a little bit. And it was really cool. From what I played and got through so far, it's really cool. But it has like a shit ton of like sequels, prequels, and other sorts of like mini games attached to it that I think are DLC or something like that. Like all these like side stories that just give us a simple story, for fuck's sake. We don't need like. You know, we don't need sequel after sequel after prequel after thing, like...
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. Like, even, like... Like, ugh. Like, it got boring after Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus. And I actually like Dirge of Cerberus. You want to know why I like Dirge of Cerberus?
Why do you like Dirge of Cerberus?
Because it changes the dynamic up. It changes the dynamic up. You play as my favorite character from Final Fantasy VII, and you just shoot the ever-living shit out of things with like next to no consequences. I love it. Also, you finally get to put a bullet into. You also finally get to put like, as Vincent. You finally get to put a bullet into Hojo for being a douchebag to you. That's why Dirge of Cerberus is so satisfying. But Final Fantasy is not without, like, its... Like I said, like every game, it has its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people argue that 3 is a bad game, and I think 3 is fine for the most part. Oh, wow, I can actually use that shield.
Again, I haven't really played much games from, like, Square. For the most part. Like, the only, like, games I can think of, like, from, like, recent memory and shit.
I'm gonna say...
Is, like, the City of Duodecim.
I'm gonna say this...
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
and Final Fantasy IV.
Save yourself some time. Don't play... don't play Final Fantasy. Because you're gonna get so many varied opinions on so many different games across the board. And, I recommend checking out... If you're gonna play it with Square Enix, play Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it. Chrono Trigger is well worth, like, you know, price of admission or whatever the hell you're doing to play it, because... And I don't usually argue, like, I don't usually argue with or against censorship, but I recommend playing the DS version, because there's a little more content. I like the time rift stuff that they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the DS version is, like, the better, like, version out of all of them.
There's a ton of stuff that's, like, could be seen as boring content to do, which is understandable. But like, I still like the time rift stuff and the better connections to Chrono Cross. And I also recommend checking out Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
All I have to say about
the only thing I know about, like, Chrono Cross is that there's, like, 44 playable characters or something like that.
Yes. Because of that.
So that can be like a fucking.
Because of that, not every character has a great storyline. But like, here's the thing though. The wide cast of kooky characters, it just makes up for it. It's like that one episode, that one really good episode from one of the good seasons of Rick and Morty. Freaking the hell is that episode called? You know, the one with the parasites.
Yeah, that one. That was a really good episode.
There's a skeleton clown. There's a skeleton fucking clown. And I'm like, I can't hate this. I cannot hate this. And I love Chrono Trigger. But people are saying, "Oh, this game is bad, stinky bad." And I'm like, "No, I can't hate this. You're telling me I can assemble a skeleton clown for my team? I'm definitely going to do that." Like no, it's true. It's fucking true.
Well, yeah, knowing you would put, like, a fucking skeleton clown in your goddamn, you know, party and shit.
Yeah, like, and Chrono Cross, like I said, his characters are just really interesting to look at. They're like, they're battle wise. When you get like a bandmate, right? You get like this guy who plays lead guitar in this band as your party member, and he fights by playing his guitar. That's fucking awesome.
Reminds me of what's his name from Darkstalkers.
Oh yeah, no.
Lord Raptor.
Yeah. And like, there's like a lot of, and yeah, Chrono Cross is very fucking weird too, like the story. And people don't like it because, like, it air quotes answers questions that it answers questions that air quotes didn't need to be answered. And I'm like, bullshit to that. I'd rather have the questions answered. Plus, I'd want more Chrono Trigger. And Chrono Cross has a neat Chrono Cross is a neat battle system too.
I'll give Chrono Cross a try whenever I, like, you know, come across a copy and shit.
I'm very intimidated to play through it because I
Because
love
of the dearth of content and shit like that.
yeah the amount of content, what I want out of the game and what I want my party to be, and
True.
because like Chrono Trigger, if you're not careful, you can get a different ending based on some very minute things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true.
Like that's my only issue with like that I've encountered so far with like Chrono Cross. I'm very much afraid to play the game because I want to try to get the good ending, but at the same time it's just like at the same time I'm like I have to be you got to be extremely careful, and if you really want a certain party, you have to work for it.
True. True.
Because like I said, that skeleton clown comes way late, but he could potentially be worth it, or he could potentially be a load of shit. Like, you know, is it sad that we can't get like every character could be like the original cast of characters? Yeah, that's upsetting. But at the same time, you know, the experimentation doesn't harm a series, especially as like it doesn't do lasting damage to the prequel is the thing, right? Because like you can still like
Right.
you can have the sequel or not have the sequel. It's not like Mass Effect where it's a trilogy and because of that ending it poisons the entire trilogy. You can't just leave off the series on Mass Effect 2.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like coming to like one of the things I really want to do when it comes to like doing like game series and shit like that
mhm.
is not doing like I'm kind of hesitant to do like direct sequels on games unless it's just like I can't think of anything else to do it as.
Mhm.
Like I'd rather like experiment like with like genres and shit. Like say like when it comes to like, you know, like games that have like a shared universe and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like one like you could say like, oh hey, take like like I'm gonna make a hypothetical right here. Like say, you know, let's say I make a series out of like this one game where it's like, you know, it's a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
And then the next game I do for like that said series is not like a beat 'em up, but rather a shoot 'em up. But it still uses like all those characters and whatnot from that universe
Mhm.
and shit.
It's kind of what you're kind of talking like the Star Fox effect, where the best two sequels of Star Fox changed up the gameplay.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, somewhat.
Star Fox Adventures was an adventure game, and Star
Mm-hmm.
Fox and like Star Fox Assault added the ground missions and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I guess you can say something like that. Again, I'm like hesitant to do like direct sequels of like games and shit like that because you know there's always like
The stickler for like details.
not for like details and shit, but you know people are always gonna have like this expectation of how they want it to be, and most of the time it's just like we just want it exactly as the first game.
Yeah.
And if you try to like say, you know, do something different, we'll just, you know, say, oh, it's not the same and it's bad and shit.
That's the thing. You have to take the risk at alienate. Like, I'm gonna point this out now. When you make a game, you got to take the risk as a creator. You got to take the risk of alienating your audience if you want to do something new. Like, here's the thing. When you make a game, you have to make a game for yourself. Like, a game that you will play, too.
Yeah.
Like, that's the important part. And that's the thing that people forget about. That's the thing that people forget about devs and shit like that. And where I think the dichotomy between devs and the publishers when it comes to like big AAA studios comes into play. Like, that sort of thing is like most of the reason why bad games come out bad are because of the studio, like, not the dev team, but the fucking studio, not the developer studio, but the fucking
publisher. Side.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody rips into Bethesda, but leaves ZeniMax alone because Bethesda's at the forefront. They're the ones developing the games, and you never see the suits. You never see the suits at ZeniMax. You only see Todd Howard. You see what I'm like? That's what I'm talking about. That's what makes the
for the most part.
That's what makes the scapegoat so good.
But yeah, like, most of the reason why I said, like, oh, I'll never do, like, a direct sequel is, you know, sort of like, I just, like, want to experiment with, like, different, like, game genres and shit, like, inside, like, a said universe and shit like that, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, if you're doing, like, a sci-fi series, right, but you're trying not to do a trilogy, you just want to make games in that series, like, you can always set it, like, farther, like, you could always set it a little bit into the future at a different conflict if you want to tell a different conflict from the one that came before. Like, same ideals, different, reasoning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm trying to get, that's what I'm trying to get at.
They're, like, same gameplay, same-ish gameplay, different take on it too. Would be a good way of pointing about it. Different story behind it.
I guess.
Cause like the scare, you know, when you're not making like super high art, when you're just trying to be like a fun little game, you can get away with there's a reason why Mario 2 in the US is superior to Japanese Mario 2. And that's because Mario 2 in the US is much more interesting than Japanese Mario 2, which is just harder Mario Bros. I'd rather play classic Mario 2 I'd rather play US Mario 2 than classic Mario 2 any day.
Plus, it did like introduce like a lot of like characters that are now like in the main, that are just like staple characters and everything like that. You know, like Shy Guys, Birdo, and all that other shit.
There are Sniffets, Bob-ombs,
Ba-bomb!
Monkey. Sniffets, Bob-ombs, ninjas. It also gave all of the characters their abilities. Also, Toad was fucking broken in Mario too.
Oh yeah.
Level 4 power, get out of here. Like, oh, like who needs like hover jumps and shit? Like, who needs to float and who needs to, like, you know, a higher or longer jump when you have like super strength? You know, Toad is like mad busted.
Chief Scientific Advisor, Dahl Corporation, Day 224. The only conversations I have anymore are with this echo recorder. I've developed a relationship with it. Some cycles I sleep with it, and others I make it stay outside of my tent. My waning ability to discern logic from insanity is becoming cumbersome. I've been translating Eridan writings. In between arguing with the recorder, which went off for a few hours during my last sleep cycle, I purged the account. If I were to pontificate, I would infer that the Eridan writings show a class-based society that was quite capable of both leadership and of armed conflict.
And the big thing too, and that's the thing about light narrative. Like when you, like I said, you don't like. Do you really think about the geopolitics of the Mushroom Kingdom?
No, not really.
Like, yeah, like it's not like Metroid where there's a deep lore. Like you have to think about every little bit that you add. You can't just which is important. All right, which is kind of important. Why I think that we need to have a translation for something specifically for Metroid, which is the concept art. We need the concept art for Other M translated, because it's lost media now. But because nobody cares for Other M, like here's what I don't like. Here's what I don't like: the double standards coming to like the double standards when it comes to shit like lost media and everything like that, right? Oh, nobody wants like, oh, we can't have whatchamacallit. Oh, you know, if we care about this thing, it's, you know, we have to go searching for it. But if we don't care about it, we don't need to go searching for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's sort of a weird double standard. Also, this is a unique shield, but it's shitty. Cracked Sash. It's actually a reference to Devil May Cry. But yeah, like beyond that, like I said, when it comes to deepest lore, like deep lore and deepest lore and all that shit, there needs to be a you know, it all depends on what you're trying to make too. Like Star Control, like a game like Star Control needs a lot of deep lore. Despite it be, you know, no matter how it's written, it just kind of needs stuff like that, right? Especially for a sequel. Another thing I should say, I guess this is an unpopular opinion, but I think that like recreation, like either recreation mods or sequel mods to certain games, like never get finished because no one wants to put in the time and effort eventually. Because I don't think that even they know how to end it, like you know, the fans would know how to end the series properly. Like, oh, because there was a Star Controls 2 sequel mod. I would like to play because it's actually pretty interesting. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, it's not finished. It's gonna end at a certain point that's unsatisfying. And I'm not gonna risk modding a old game that could break it. I'm not gonna risk modding an old game that could break it, and I'd have to re-download it off of like GitHub or something like that if it's still up there. But the point I'm making though is that like, I don't think the fans would even know how like they would end the series when it came to that sort of thing. It's all up to the creator. Because like one thing too, like I said, if you're gonna do like super interconnected sequels, I think you might want to know what you're gonna do for the sequel before you make it. It's like Like how I don't know what the idea behind, like, you know, don't just like make shit up as you go along. Like, come up with what the sequel is gonna be about. And the sequel should be something that can't be told with like DLC. Like it can't be like something so super simple that it's just like, oh yeah, you know, this could be DLC for. You know, this could be made in like a DLC for that game or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The like it's you know it's a weird dance of how do you do a sequel right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I said, personal preference, I don't hate sequels when it comes to anything. Like,
Me neither.
sequels are fun.
Yeah.
Like, Force Unleashed 2 is a great game, and I like the lore and stuff it adds. The like Star Control 2 is way better than Star Control 1.
I fondle these bones.
I fondle these bones. Mm.
Hello, Hunam!
Yeah, like that's not in Star Control 1 from what I can gather.
Mm-hmm.
Star Control 1 is just like space combat. You don't get Rolf. You don't get Rolf as Captain Fuifo. You get like fucking everything else but Rolf. Hit Rolf. Like, that's all I have to say. Like, just don't become like a scapegoat for something. Or, you know, if you gotta prove, you know.
Yeah, I know what
you gotta prove your own sort of thing. Because that's the hole that Bethesda fell into and they can't get out. And nobody wants to listen to reason because it's easy to shoot the messenger rather than shooting the person who sent the message. And the unfortunate thing is, right, we want, you know, we want devs to stand up for themselves and crap like that, but here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to, you know, like, here's the thing, right? You, like, when you're in that sort of job, you're going to walk, you know, you could either keep doing what you're doing, keeping your job, or, you know, you pull a strike, you get fired, and then you're forced to work at another company that can treat you possibly even worse. Or you go indie, and that's completely hit or miss. That's just completely hit or miss in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like you cannot, like the complications of that are just completely meandering. But that's like, you know, that's like besides the point.
Mm-hmm.
You like I said, you just need to have the fight in you to keep doing that sort of thing. And I don't know how long like change is gonna last. Like personal opinion, I do think that a game crash is gonna be inevitable if it gets to a certain point. Much to like what people it's wishful thinking, and there's nothing wrong with wishful thinking that there's not going to be a game crash, but like a lot of signs point to there being one at some point down the line. And it's basically going to be like nobody going to want to buy. It's going to get to a point where nobody's probably going to be wanting to buy video games for a long time unless like something changes, and I don't think it's going to be peripherals. Like I really don't think that like VR can save that sort of thing.
Again, I don't think it'll be like for like a long time or some shit.
Yeah.
But there will be like maybe like a short period of just like sales are like really down and shit like that.
Because the whole reason why the game crash ended was because Nintendo made Rob the Robot, and they marketed it as like
that
a,
and yeah, I was actually gonna say like what you were going to say. Like they marketed it more as an entertainment system instead of like as a, you know, a video game system and shit like that.
Yep. Which is complete and utter horse crap, because it was it's just a video game system, like, first and foremost. The funny thing about it too, like, people took, oh, the Nintendo seal of quality used to mean something. No, it didn't. It never meant anything.
If it really did mean anything, we wouldn't have like
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That and fucking Back to the Future. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. There was a YouTube reviewer a long time ago. I forgot her name, but I don't really want to. If I do remember, I don't really want to call it out and saying that. It's like I don't like. I think it's stupid that they believed that the seal of quality meant something, but I'm not gonna like call them. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, like you know, you're a dumbass, blah blah. And I don't want people going after them too.
True.
Like, I think yeah, it's stupid that they thought that, because it was clearly obviously a marketing thing. First and foremost, because you know nobody wanted to like with the consequences of trying to like sell video games, and with how far video games have come, like how much they've been, it's pretty much the exact same. Where it's pretty much almost the exact same as the market during the crash, where there's very few games, and I don't think that the indie game scene is gonna save gaming. That's another big thing.
You don't think so?
No. Because here's the thing, right? Like, remember how I said that people's opinions are so broad and shit like that, right? I don't like most indie games that come out. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't like stuff like Ori and the Blind Forest. People would think I'd like that. Like, oh, Marek, you'd like this. I'm like, you know, you'd think I would, but I really wouldn't. Like, I like stories told to me, you know, I like characters and shit like that. Like, the gameplay came first with Ori, and the story is told through, like, you know, character movement and stuff like that, like complete silence. Which is cool, like, it's done through the animation. But, I'd rather, you know, get engrossed in a story than just, you know, play through a story. Right? Like, an example of a game that I really wanted to like for like a lot was Cuphead. I think that Cuphead changed from the original vision so much that I don't care for it. Because especially the way it marketed itself and the way people latched onto it also chased me away. Did I still buy and play Cuphead? Yeah, I did. I'm still playing it now. Like, I didn't beat it yet. But I'm gonna say it, like, people made me not want to play that game. And just the change from it being a Gunstar Heroes reminiscent game, which would have been fucking awesome if it still was that. I hope the sequel to Cuphead does that sort of thing. Like, actually does the full, like, you know, Gunstar Heroes thing. Rather than just being a bunch of boss fights on a map. Bendy and the Ink, like, another indie game that kind of took the world by storm. Five Nights at Freddy's. I love the first Freddy's game, but I can't play the sequels. And the reason why I can't...
I've played 3, and I only played that once. Died, and then never played it again.
I can't play the sequels because I cannot in that sort of situation where you're just kind of sitting there, I can't micromanage so many different things going on at once, right?
Right.
Like, it's not like this where I have, like, it's not like a game like this where I have, like, free control over every, like, aspect, like, my skills at shooting and shit like that. No, I'm stuck rooted to an area, and I have to use like my wits and hearing thing, my hearing and shit like that, right? I have kind of shitty hearing. If I miss one, and you have to be like precise is the problem too. If I miss one thing, if you miss one thing, especially that, you're dead. I like watching people play Five Nights at Freddy's, and I like the story of Five Nights at Freddy's, but I don't think it's gonna be the savior of the indie. I don't think it's gonna be the savior, like the other indie games, the savior of like, you know, the indie games, like the gaming industry in general. Another game that I liked to watch, but the sequel looks much better. Bendy and the Ink Machine. Like, talk about, I don't even know what to call it. Like, can you really call it like a horror game? Like, it's a horror game, but like, what type of horror game is it? Is it just horror, survival horror? Like, I don't know. Like, it's an extreme like short experience too. Like, I wouldn't be so, and I don't hate the game. I just don't have, I just don't want to spend the money to play it. When there's a sequel coming out that looks much better in how it's presented. Like, that's like my whole sort of thing.
Yeah. Now,
What?
I
It's all true. My program is
don't think
program. I'm now certain
I don't think that, you know,
something to do with opening it.
I think you're looking at this whole thing at this like
It looks like there are extreme measures
that
to keep the
the argument out there is like, oh, indie games are gonna save the industry and everything and all that, you know, and all that jazz and whatnot. When I really don't think that's the case.
The only reason why I like talk about that in that sort of light is because a lot of people pull that as an argument, like indie games are gonna save the industry. I'm like, they're not really.
No, I just think that it's a separate market from, like you say.
Oh yeah, no, it is a
You
separate
know,
market.
the AAA market from like the AAA game studios and everything like that.
Yeah. Like, it has its stinkers, it has its good game. Like, it's just like the AAA market on a smaller scale. Like, it has its stinkers, it has its like good games. Like,
yeah,
and a bunch of like there's a lot of indie games that, like I said, not every game can be Shovel Knight for me. Like, not like whenever there's, all right, like here's an example of what I mean. Here's an example of an indie game that I definitely won't play. I don't like Dark Souls, right? But so
right.
If you take Dark Souls, turn it 2D with the exact same like slow ass movement and shit like that, right? I'm not gonna play your fucking indie game. However, you take the same sort of gameplay style as Dark Souls, where if you die, you leave your money and shit wherever you were, money or level up material where you were when you died. But like the game is fun to play and like do so. Like what I'm talking about is fucking Hollow Knight. I'll play it.
Right.
Like, Hollow Knight is just fun. Like, there's no, like, it's like Bloodborne. There's no annoyances that, there's not, like, you know, there's no annoyances and every enemy goes down. Like, every enemy goes down in 1 to 2 hits for the most part. There's not, like, there's no annoying, like, things in that game that get on my nerves, at least, other than, like, the Arena of Fools, which I'm not gonna do. Like, there's games I 100%, there's games I don't 100%. That's one of those games I am 100% in.
Okay.
Like, like I'm sick of like the sort of gamer skill and that sort of bullshit. So it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, that is kind of like a.
Yeah, it's just like.
It's just a dick measuring contest at that point.
Yeah, and that's my big problem with that, where stuff like that is just like, basically like, it's fuel for that dick measuring contest fire. I don't, and I personally just don't give a shit. So, and I don't give a shit to sort of like bother with that crap. But I will say this, like I will at least attempt to fight Nightmare King. I didn't get
Alright.
to him. I didn't get to him yet, but like I'll give my best shot. Doesn't mean I'm gonna, doesn't mean I'm gonna like, probably beat him. If I think he's too hard for me, I'm just not gonna play the fight. But yeah, no, Hollow Knight's an example of an indie game that surprised me with how good it was, because I heard, like I said, there's a jackasses comparing it to Dark Souls, and I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to play this. And then I played it, I'm like, wow, this is nothing like Dark Souls. What the fuck are people smoking? Like the closest mechanic is losing your money. The closest mechanic, and it's literally just like, oh, it's very much like Metroid, where you could just kind of like, jump up and like just slash shit for like massive damage. No thought involved. You just gotta like dodge the attacks and everything like that. My favorite fight that I've fought so far being the Mantis Lords, because once you beat them, all the Mantis enemies in the area leave you alone, and they're fucking annoying. Like they're I'm not gonna lie, they're actually annoying when you're at low health. But here's the thing though, when you beat their leaders, they stop being annoying.
Right.
Yeah, it's worth doing. Like that's what I'm talking about, where I played a game that's like pretty cool. Like Blossom Tales is another game that I thought was pretty cool. That's a great indie game. Minute is another cool one. Oh, and another reason why. So at least this is back, like, sort of when roguelikes were becoming, like, big because of Binding of Isaac. Indie games start doing a trend. And indie games also sometimes follow trends, too, just like AAA games. Where a shit...
Well, yeah, that is something that, that is, like,
Which could...
both markets, like, share. But then again, that's, like, everything in, like,
Yeah.
in every, like, industry, there's always gonna be, like, a fucking trend.
I was caught off guard the first time I saw, like, an indie game that wasn't Shovel Knight. That turned out it wasn't a fucking, roguelike. I was, like, fucking, like, I was mouth agape. I'm like, oh my god. Someone made a game that's not a roguelike. Like, is this possible? How is this possible? Binding of Isaac, I don't mind it. It's just not for me. I'll play Enter the Gungeon with friends and or myself sometimes, but like roguelikes aren't my thing, because I dislike losing progress and having to start from the beginning. Perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the perfect run is not like my type of deal. I just want to play it through and beat a game. If there's a mod that shuts off the roguelike elements, I'll gladly play that because I just want to play through the game. But they're probably not, so I'm not even gonna try. Like, and like I said, there are some roguelikes that I don't mind, like survival games, like Don't Starve. Big example of what I mean. That's a game that I, once again, really don't mind playing with. It's like, you die, game over, because it's just about trying to survive. And all, like, there's not, I wouldn't say there's optimal ways of playing, because there's so many play styles that you could do with so many different characters that you could play as.
True.
And the DLCs are actually pretty cool and change up the dynamic of the game. Shipwrecked being this really weird one where you get to build boats and crap like that and go around the world in water. You go to Water World, Zig. And I think one of the bosses is a dogfish.
Oh, alrighty then.
And it's literally a dog. It's literally a dog mixed with a fish. Like it's like a shark. They're really cool. So it did the Castle Crashers thing, but And that's what I'm getting at too. Like for indie games too, for every Castle Crashers and like for me at least, for every Castle Crashers, Shovel Knight, and Shantae, there's a million fucking like Binding of Isaac wannabes and shit like that, right? At least at the time, there's a million Binding of Isaac wannabes. There's a million different fucking like, you know, platformers that have no story. It's just pure. It's just air quotes pure gameplay, as like the devs like to put it. But the story is what makes it like stories are what make it interesting. Like you can't just have a platformer anymore. Like your platformer has to, like in my opinion, your platformer has to have a hook. Like there was this one dev that made this like weird platformer where like you play as a bunch of like cephalopods that get sucked up by like aliens, and you start doing like Mario Galaxy 2D, like in 2D through space with these types of characters. And like every character is pretty much an analog for like someone, right?
Right.
Like for like someone out of like a Mario game. And the creator was like, "Oh, why is nobody buying my indie game?" And I'm like, it looks nice, but here's the thing. There's nothing to it. It's just there's no hook here. And I'm not saying, and I could definitely see like a hook being, it's a roguelike, you'd make it like a roguelike and just say the hook's a roguelike or something like that. But at that point that's going to become stale too, that sort of roguelike element. The worst of it being, like I said, that element's going to become stale at some point too. It kind of did become stale. We're thankfully not getting a lot of roguelikes anymore. But like, I don't really. And like, oh, and here's another example, and this is a game that never came out because it never got finished. Remember the guy who made like Super Mario Crossover?
No.
It's literally just Mario Brothers, but like features Mega Man, Blaster Master for some reason, and Simon Belmont, and I think Samus. I don't know for sure. So he made it and put it on a Flash website, right? And so this guy, like some people gave the guy the bright idea to make his own version of that, and every character is literally just an analog of like, oh, you get to play as this Simon Belmont lookalike, right? It doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have the same effect. You want to know why? Because when you play as Simon Belmont, you are Simon Belmont. Like, here's an example of what I mean. Like, remember when they made Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or Ultimate, whatever the fuck it's called? Infinite. They took out characters like Magneto because they're not Disney compliant. Like Disney doesn't own that part of didn't own that part of Marvel at the time, and stuff like that, right? So they couldn't have characters like that. But they's like, oh, but it's okay. We got characters that are just like him, and then like it's not about playing.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not about the character having the same moves. It's not about the character having the same moves. It's about the character himself. You're not, Magneto's moves don't matter. It's the fact that you are playing as Magneto. That's what matters to the player, right? Like, oh, you could give any character a whip, and like and the same sort of effect that Simon Belmont has when he attacks. Like you can't move when you attack and everything like that, right? But it doesn't have the same effect. It's because you're not Simon Belmont. You're not Mega Man. You're not Mario. You're not like Link or fucking You're not Link or whatchamacallit, your generic hero number 182. I don't care about you. Like that's the whole thing. I don't care about you. Like here's an example of a game that actually surprised me. I didn't think I'd like. I forgot what the fuck it was called though. It was like Little Bit or something like that. Where he plays like this 1 pixel like child. Or like he's a kid of like 1 pixel, but he gets blessed with the ability to absorb pixels and become like a hero of 8-bit. So he goes from 1 bit, which is just like a single cube. It's like a single big pixel.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and he's the single pixel is actually pretty good at movement and stuff like that, right? But then the 8-bit one runs fast. The 8-bit run runs fast, but it's like it jumps a little shittier. Then he becomes 16-bit, and his last upgrade he's 32-bit. And that's a real cool way of like doing that sort of thing. I like stuff like that. It's cool. And the story is not too bad neither, because the witch is trying to steal all the pixels for herself, and the more pixels you have, the more important you are. And it was written down somewhere that like, oh, a hero who can control pixels like the princess, because the princess could give and take pixels as she pleased, right? That was her power, and it brought prosperity to the kingdom because nobody was gonna live a life of serfdom anymore, because like, you know, how generous everybody was with that ability. But then the evil witch wanted to control everything, so that she kind of took it over. I can't remember the name of it. It's a really cool platforming challenge, and the more pixels you have, the heavier you are. When you're 32-bit, you get a sword. I should say that too. You actually get a weapon, and you're pretty damn strong. You're just extremely heavy, and you can't platform that well.
Oh, okay.
And you gotta like sacrifice pixels, gain pixels to do all like sorts of platforming. It's really cool. And you slowly build up a town too as you help people and rescue them. So there's like, you know, that little aspect that's like just keeps you going back to like the town. It makes you care about the world and the people you're saving, which I like. Like, I don't feel a disconnect from what I didn't feel a disconnect from what I was doing. And then every so often you have like a really cool game that can fall flat. Like Citizens of Earth is a great idea. Like I enjoy a lot of that game. The problem was I found an optimal strategy and just basically kept doing that. Like I basically kept using that optimal strategy to beat the game. And it's just kind of like, well, and oh yeah, you want to talk about like Chrono Cross and having 44 party members, right? You want to know how many party members Citizens of Earth has?
How many?
Oh, think of every profession that a human being can become, right? And that's a character.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You can even get a pregnant yoga instructor as a playable character.
Huh. Okay.
Like I like my team for most of the game was your brother, because you play as the vice president of the Unite of Earth. So I was playing. So you get your brother to start with and your mom as your first two posse members, right? And then you get like your brother's a mailman. Then you get a cop, and you get a conspiracy theorist. And like you have to do like little side quests for people to unlock their little like, you know, things. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool on how you do that. And when you get there's a used car dealership owner, and when you get him, he gives you a car to drive around with in the overworld. The cop is broken though, because she has guns. You don't see her get to use them, but like those are her like power attacks and everything like that. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
I never had to grind in that game. Like some people have said you do have to grind, and I'm like, I've never gotten to that. I've never gotten to that point, but like I've gotten to the point where, you know, it just kind of gets boring using the same three characters because they're so damn good. There's a story, the story is actually pretty interesting, because, like, it starts off with, like, a minor problem that turns into something major, like, it slowly builds up over the course of the game, and it's really cool, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's almost like Earthbound in that sense. which once again is pretty damn cool. And like I said, you can't really go wrong with like Earthbound. Or can you? No, you can't really go wrong with Earthbound. It's a cool game. It
really is.
It's a cool game. Someone launched it into space. It's a cool game. How many video games got launched into space? The game. Look,
I can't really.
The Game Boy could resist explosions, man, and still operate.
Yo, dude, I actually did see that at like Nintendo World back in the day.
It probably needs to be on life support, but it still works.
Well, yeah, it was like hooked up to like, you know, that like, you know, that little cord at like the
charger.
Yeah, the charger and shit.
Yeah.
I'm fucking.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't fucking make the batteries leak. Wait, what war was that in?
Gulf War.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Man, video games, I tell you what. Like that's so crazy. I think I'm not certain. I think my PS1 copy of Soul Reaver 1 belonged to a soldier. I think, if I remember correctly, I got this like a long time ago. He said like, oh, you know, it might be worse for wear. It was with me in like this is what I was reading off of it. It was like it was with me at Iraq or something like that. I'm like, damn. So, you know, I bought it for cheap and it worked, so it was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Like, I'm just reading. I'm just surprised it's not like a cursed game or something like that, like one of those creepypasta games. Like, oh, I bought it for cheap off of a website. It wasn't right. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. Ah! I'm surprised it wasn't some shit like that, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Like Raziel started bleeding red blood, and this and that, the other thing. What's funny is I actually saw like an air quotes creepypasta game. Like, it looked like it would belong in a creepypasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at like this flea market place, right? And they have like a shop area. And so they have like these plastic bags filled with like random shit that you can buy. Some of them being video games. And one of them was a black NES cartridge. Right? A black NES cartridge. I mean, not NES. Super Nintendo. Fuck. They use cartridges all the way to Super Nintendo. Fucking damn. But it was a black Super Nintendo. Fucking N64. Shit. I can't think. N64 cart. And it had duct tape on the front with the words RAW written on it in black marker. And I'm like, this is I pointed out, as I was there with my friends, I'm like, I said, look at that. That is a creepypasta game right there. Like, that thing is probably cursed or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I looked it up. I said like black N64 cartridge games raw, and it turns out it was a wrestling game.
Do you remember what game it was? Was it No Mercy?
Possible. I kind of remember seeing The Undertaker when I like.
Yeah, it sounds like a WWF game.
That's kind of like how it sort of played out. Was I looked it up? I wanted to see if this can't be real or something like that. Like, this has got to be like either a fake game or something. And no, it was like a wrestling game, and I didn't buy it. Number one, I don't have an N64, so I'm not gonna waste money on it. I'm not even gonna test out. I bought like 2 other games instead that were both scratched to shit, so I threw them away.
Do you remember what they were?
Sly 3 and freaking Ratchet Deadlocked. And they had a third PS2 game on sale in that little shop area,
Come on in, poke
and it was just like this weird PS2. It was just this weird PS2 FPS game with like vampires in it.
Okay.
Oh my god. Now this is a machine gun.
You ever heard of this one PS2 game called the Bouncer?
Isn't it like that Square Enix type game?
Yeah, that one.
And like you have to like stop people from getting into like it goes from like this weird adventure, and then like someone's a robot and someone's not a robot, and then someone is a robot.
Yeah, something like that.
Like it was like this weird narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was trying to be like the Running Man or something, like not even the Running Man, but fucking whatchamacallit, what the hell was that movie? Not Maze Runner. Shit. I can't think.
Demolition Man?
No. What was the movie with the synths? What the hell was it? What the hell was that movie? It's not the Running Man. Ah, crap. It was Harrison Ford, wasn't it? And they recently made another sequel.
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner! There we go, there we go. 'Cause I watched The Running Man recently, that's why it's on my brain, and it's the fucking weirdest thing I've ever watched.
That's the one with Schwarzenegger and Richard Dawson, right?
Yes. And Schwarzenegger, there's this guy in the movie named Dynamo or some shit like that, right?
Yeah!
And he shoots electricity. He's wearing like a fucking colander on his head, and he's shooting lightning out of his hands. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, did I just accidentally like eat acid, like swallow acid or some shit like that? Like, what the fuck did I just watch here? I took it off. I'm like, my senses were overwhelmed. Fucking The Running Man. Like, this is why every Schwarzenegger movie isn't his most remembered work.
You ever seen Total Recall?
For some reason, whenever I think of Total Recall, I think of that one game from, Action 52 where you have to kill the vampires with the lights or something like that. Don't ask me why.
What?
Right? It's the weirdest correlation I could possibly give. I know about Total Recall, but whenever I think about it, for some reason, I think of like that game, that music, like fucking. I don't know why I have that correlation. It's the most out there correlation ever, but I have it, and I do know about I do know about Total Recall.
Okay.
Got something to say about Total Recall, or?
It's actually one of my favorite action movies.
So what do you think? Was it all a dream, or did it all really happen?
I don't fucking know.
I honestly think...
Like, it could have happened and shit.
I honestly think that it was all a dream, because, like, all of the crazy shit just happens out of nowhere, is the thing. You blew my cover!
Yeah, true.
You blew my cover! Another one gone, another one gone, another one buy some dust. But yeah, it all happens too quickly to be like, you know, like this really did happen, and that's at least my takeaway from it. But you know, it's all about people's interpretation.
True.
So I'm not saying my word is law there with that movie. It's any way you slice it. Any way you slice it. So your thoughts are as valid as mine. So I think it's about time to bring it into the stream for now. It's like 12:50. Yep.
Yep. Let's try to wrap this up.
Yep. So. All right. Well, then we did a lot of progress. We're getting to the second vault key piece very soon, which is pretty good. Borderlands is a kind of a quick game. But immediately, but you know, after we finish the main story, there's always the DLC. I'll try to do all of them, cause here's the bad thing. The worst thing about like Borderlands 1, I'd argue, is while the DLCs are cool in terms of design and everything like that, they're not the best. Like they're cool in terms of like content and stuff like that. They're not the best in terms of pacing and how you get around and traverse the worlds and everything like that. You know what I mean? So what we're gonna be dealing with is a lot of backtracking, especially on T-Bone Junction, because you got to go like this way, that way, this way. Every side quest leads you all over the place, and you got to turn them all in back, and there's no like fast travel between them. That's one thing that Borderlands 2 did really right, was do all of like the DLC like maps having their own little fast travel points between them, which helped a lot with doing the quests.
Right.
I'll give Borderlands 2 that I'll give it that like happy little conclusion with what I thought about it. Well, with my thoughts on it. Otherwise, like I said, Borderlands 1's DLC, it's just a lot of running around, and it's not gonna be fun with one person doing it, because it's literally, especially like I said, T-Bone Junction and Secret Armory, where you go from point A to point B. I might do this. I might finish the main story and then I'll do the DLC later, because you really don't want to bookend on. You really don't want to bookend on completing. Well, it works. It's just kind of like it doesn't fit too well as complete.
Right.
It doesn't fit too well as completing the other the main quest of getting to the vault and opening it and shit like that, right? And fighting the destroyer. But that's besides the point. So I'll decide what I'll do eventually. It's all gonna hinge on what I feel like doing, because I want to have fun, but at the same time, I want to make sure that the stream's entertaining, and I don't want to be like this way, that way, this way, and that gets draining on me too sometimes. Which is why I had to stop which is why I had to stop the Saints Row 4 streams before I freaking went insane. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I really had a good time talking about the topics we talked about and had fun. I and fun. Just playing through the game in general. Borderlands 1 is fun, and just talking about that sort of shit while you're getting like critical hits and everything like that. That's that is set. Like you said, it's just pure fun. And I don't. Oh yeah, another thing I just remembered. If I do the DLC like during the streams, like if I do the DLC with the streams, then I'm gonna have to. Then I'm definitely not gonna do the brains side quest in Zombie Island of Dr. Ned. But I'll save that for. Yeah, like I said, I'll think about what I'm gonna do with the DLCs. All right, guys. If you like, should check it. If you like, the stream, check out the archive on YouTube where I post all the stream archives. It's down in the description on Mixer and next to the description on Mixer. Or you can go on YouTube, Marek1shtar with a capital M and a 1 instead of an I. We have Fallout 3, some Fallout 4 stream. We got Fallout 3, which is almost done. Some Fallout 4 streams, Skyrim streams, Half-Life 1, but it's the 2 expansion packs, Blue Shift and whatchamacallit?
Opposing Force.
Opposing Force. We also got Little Inferno, Spooky's House of Jump Scares, and a bunch of other cool games. Yeah, check us out there, and some videos that I post semi-regularly. It really depends on how I feel and if I have like content I'm willing to post, be it a shit post or like a piece of meaningful content. If you like what I do, please consider donating to the Patreon down below. And I should say that all the rest of the links I'm about to say are in the YouTube channel banner and in the description of the channel as well. If you like what I do, please consider donating to the Patreon down below in the description, next description on Mixer, and on the YouTube channel banner and in the channel description. Please note, you don't have to donate if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. I do this completely for free, and I do this for fun. And donations are appreciated, but they're not required. There are some perks involved with our Discord server down below, which you can join completely for free. Set up by my moderator Jetlock. We got some games going on there, like the Waifu Wars, the Waifu Wars, Pokecord. Some of the bots have like little games built in, like Tic Tac Toe, Connect 4, and all that stuff. And yeah. Also, check out the. Also, I should say this too. Like I said, the perks involved are just like the Patreon tier things, and that'll be discussed at like. It's all that we were able to come up with is on there, but when we get our first donators, whenever that'll be, we'll discuss what we're going to be doing with that specifically. So, from there, follow me on Twitter where I post stream links, archive links, status posts, updates, and random and funny shit occasionally. I don't use Twitter too often, but I always go there when I have I always go there and post my stream link, and if I remember to post the archive link, I remember to post it there, which I know I've neglected to do for the past couple of days because I've just been fucking dead. I've been dead tired when I get up in the morning, and I'm just like, I gotta get breakfast and shit like that. And last but not least, follow me on Newgrounds where I post stream links, and if they ever get a regular video uploader, I will definitely be posting archives there for better archival purposes, because YouTube are media pansies who don't like fun. They will take down your video for various things, such as random songs. Even if you play them in context, it's still a kind of pain in the ass where, whatchamacallit, it's like a pain in the ass and shit like that. Kind of runs the course. They'll take down videos even if they're not monetized. Some songs that I know of include Yellow Submarine, Roundabout, and whatchamacallit,
All Along the Watchtower.
Yep, All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. Those songs got some videos of mine taken down, but they're back up now. So with some minimal problems that basically keep them from being a full archive of those streams because they're missing shit. Alright, guys. Once again, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I really had a good time playing this, and I'll catch you all later. Remember, guys, be yourselves, and remember, Mecca like a hi, Mecca hidey ho, mo, Mecca chai, Mecca mo, Mecca hey, pickle barrel, kumquat, chimichurri. That's the secret word of the day. Alright, guys, catch you all later. Marek out. See you guys.
Good night, everybody.